You guys, everything is chaos. I'm not used to it being daylight outside, kind of. And I'm used to Mondays being basically, I just walk to, or no, not walk to, I just walk into Layla and Sean's house and everything is taken care of and I just eat snacks and talk to one of my best friends for 3 hours. But it's going to be me again, just me. So for those of you that don't know, Layla and Sean are in California. So Layla's at a conference and, they've got family down there. So they're sticking around for a while. They're actually skydiving today, if you can believe it. That's wild. So go lay down, please. So yeah, that's why it's just little me for Vulgar Science today. But I figured what better opportunity to talk about being single, painfully single, than when I'm single in my normally duo status thing in Vulgar Science. So anyways, hey, hi, how you doing, everybody? How's everybody's beginning of their week? I'm behind on everything. Be back shortly, cleaning up from work. Oh, no problem, Risto. Hey, Science. I saw that you're live, so maybe you're not here anymore. But yeah, hi. Thanks for even being here for 2 seconds, if you were. We're missing the elevator music today. You guys, so yesterday I had Dougie Licious over, one of my second mod / close friend / amazing, wonderful person and great streamer, to try and figure out how I can get like normal music to play that's not like downloaded as an MP4 and like have to play on a loop. But it turns out, because I'm a Mac user, please keep your comments to yourself. I know PCs are better, whatever. I know all these things, but PCs aren't pink, or the ones that are too expensive and just whatever. Anyways, so Macs can't do that without downloading some driver, I want to say. I don't know. But the point is, it's not easy. And Doug tried to help me out, and I tried to figure it out for like an hour today instead of researching the topic of discussion, but couldn't figure it out. So yeah, you got no elevator music again, but back to just, some self-reflection time in utter silence. I mean, you know what? There's worse things in life. Maybe you all need to just sit in silence. Use that as meditation time. Maybe that's what it should be. It should be silent and we'll just sit there and like reflect. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, sorry. May I ask a question with regards to the topic? Please do. Yeah. Living for this top. I will tell you a story about the top in just a second. So, what's your question? Chrono triggers. Whoa. Lots of text here. As a natural born redhead, I also blame many of my problems on the sun. Yeah, that's a fun fact about you that I didn't know, which is really cool. My whole family on my dad's side are almost all redheads. I obviously am not. This is more or less my natural color with like some kind of, I don't know, sun damage. Anyways, I'm obviously not a ginger, but I'm pro ginger. Most of my family are like very ginger on that side, at least. So in any event, skydiving is my favorite vacation hobby. You've gone skydiving more than once? Surely you don't need to do it more than once. Like that's like a once in a lifetime. I don't know. I have zero desire to do that. None. Like jumping out of the sky. It's expensive too. For how expensive it is, it's something that I just like have no desire to. Mac makes good products. I won't deny them that. Non-technical users will usually enjoy it more. Yeah, exactly. The user experience for Mac computers, I find, is a lot more enjoyable than PC computers. For the most part, I do a little bit like the organization of a Windows interface for like work purposes, but I think that might just be because I'm used to it for work purposes. But I use them very differently, like my personal computer at home versus my work computer. Anyways, so yeah, you're seeking a custom solution. I know a few professional Swift developers who I can ask about this. I mean, I'm sure that it's not hard. It just is going to take like a little bit of effort, and I'm lazy. It's just the real truth. I'm not actually lazy. I'm very hardworking. I just like, I am strategic about where I put my energy. So that's somewhere that I'm just like, it's low priority. I have a little, prioritization of things that I want to put my time into. And that's just like, it's not that high on the list. I'm sorry. You guys can like, it's just 15 minutes. And then you get me and Layla or just me for 3 whole hours. So like, it's a short-term pain, long-term gain, really. Given this context, Match Group Inc., through its portfolio campaigns, provides digital technologies and platforms. Its portfolio of brands include Tinder, Hinge, Match, Meetic, OkCupid, Pairs, Plenty of Fish, Azar, Hakuna, and other brands. So a mega corporation, we love that. Perfect. We need more of those, right? Heavy sarcasm in case people didn't pick up on that. How should users feel that a giant privately held financial engine and its teams are designing platforms to hold users within a subscription model for as long as possible? Okay, I guess the question in there, how should users feel about it? Well, probably just, existentially hopeless, I would say, because that's just the reality of almost every part of our lives. Like it used to be that you would go to this is like a more of a female thing or a makeup user thing, but it used to be that the Mary Kay lady or the Avon lady came to your house, or you went to the makeup counter in like a department store to get your cosmetics. Now you sign up for like Fit Fab Fun or whatever subscription services. Everything is a subscription service because that's the only way that they can guarantee the actual income in all of these situations, especially in mega corporations. And I think it's just a fact of life and like sucks to suck. So I guess that's maybe not how they should feel, but I think it would be futile to feel anything but that. You know what I mean? To like be frustrated by it. Like if we were frustrated by every mega corporation, we all surely wouldn't be on Twitch. Right? So like if you're going to have issues with mega conglomerates running everything and incentivizing it by subscription services, then that would be very hypocritical of me being, as I'm sitting here being like, I hope you like me enough to subscribe to my content, right? Like, it's getting a little bit meta, but yeah. I love a ginger man. Have I dated a ginger guy? There's a ginger guy that I went to, well, not high school with, that I was like friends with, that was like kind of deeply in love with me while I was dating most of his friend circle. Not at the same time. Not at the same time. I don't think I've dated a redhead. Have I? I don't know. I'd have to look through the logs. I act like I have a logbook. I kind of do, but anyways. I've skydived 11 times and qualify for solo skydiving, but I don't like it. Okay, so what about, what? That's insane. That's batshit. Wow. Just wait until we start talking about different people paying different amounts for the same subscription. Yes. Voodoo. Oh, hey, Leche. Guys, it's Monday. I'm having a little bit of trouble talking. Anyways, yeah, you know what? It's meant, like, we all know what the Prime subscription is like meant to be. It's like a gateway drug, right? Like if you Prime sub, then when you lose your Prime sub, you're like, you got so used to like ad-free viewing and all the perks of like especially bigger channels and stuff like that, that when you go back to like the peasant life of being not subbed, you're like, oh, this blows. Like I have YouTube Premium because I can't fucking stand the ads. Like I can tolerate a commercial on television, but there's something about the YouTube ones that just like drive me to drink. Anyways, and then when I'm hanging out with my friends, especially Get a Grip, he uses YouTube Music, I think, for our D&D background. So he'll get ads every once in a while, and it just like, I don't know, it physically makes me recoil. So obviously I'm gonna subscribe to that. Anyways, subs here are cheap as fuck for your economy. It's like $1 per sub. I just use Adblock extension and have no ads for Chrome, of course. Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, I guess like ads support the streaming. I don't know. I I like to pay for things that add value. You know what I mean? Especially because I'm broke. I'm a student. I'm like horrendously broke. So I only want to pay for things that truly like add value. I don't want to piss away my income, nor do I think anybody wants to piss away their income. Most people don't have like large amounts of disposable income. So, I have to be strategic about where I put that. And, I believe that everybody else is probably like that too. So, yeah. On Twitch, you're saying, yeah, can't avoid those. For YouTube, I meant. Yeah, I mean, I also like to be able to download the content, which is another YouTube premium thing, because the gym in my building is in like the bottom floor, so it's like kind of not submerged, subterranean. It's like a little bit underground. It's kind of like a split level basement thing. In any event, so it has really bad reception. So if I want to do like a YouTube like spin class or something like that, I won't be able to do it unless I download it. And you can only download it from YouTube if you're a Plus member. And it's like, I don't know, fucking $7.99. Guys, I don't have lip balm. This is a crisis. What am I gonna do? Guys, I have to go get lip balm. Pause and reflect on what questions you might have for me about dating apps, because I guess that's the topic. BRB. It's been a while since I've had to leave to go get lip balm. Usually I'm so prepared, but obviously today I was not. Anyways. Oh, dating apps. Yeah. I mean, that's the topic that I picked today because Layla and I were going to maybe try to do a remote thing, like where she comes from like her Twitch account and like guest stars or whatever. And we were going to try and figure that out. But because she was going to be skydiving until like their 4:30, it was just not going to work out. Anyways, I was going to tell you guys the short story about this shirt. So the shirt, it's a sweater, right? And it's pretty cool, right? Like it's not bad. It's got kind of a zany pattern. Short sleeves though. Want to know why? Because it's for little boys. It's from the little boys section of Walmart. Not only that, it's from the little boys section of Walmart where they put the pajamas. So this is I think 8 to 10-year-old boy's pajama shirt. And I love it. So, yeah. Stream attempt number 2 coming shortly. Now with 30% less chaos. Oof, I don't know about that. Can't guarantee. Cannot guarantee. If anything, more chaos. Just like a little bit more curated chaos. Does curated negate the chaos? Is that kind of an oxymoron? I guess so. I use them for sexting mainly and have never met anyone from there. You're one of those. No judgment for how you use the apps and stuff like that. So you have like a hit me up if you finna get nasty kind of profile. And then girls are like, yeah. And then you just like sext a little bit and then like never meet them. Is that the idea? Like I see people's profiles if I'm like swiping through any of the apps, usually men, that are like, ooh, want to pleasure you, looking for a girl to show off blah. I don't know. It's awful. It's just awful for me. I'm sorry if that's you, but that's just not what I'm looking for. Some girls may be looking for it. Anyways, been offered a bunch of times. It's a cool shirt. Thank you. As a techie, I highly recommend everyone check out the product known as Pi-hole. Uses Raspberry Pis as a DNS source to remove all targeted advertising cookies and isolate them. I can't even get to the end of that sentence without getting bored. I'm sorry. That, if that's a good take that out on the open road, if you will, fellow chatters. But, I don't have the bandwidth. And I didn't mean that as like a joke. Anyways, I have a psychologist neuroscience kind of profile. Okay, so I've experimented a little bit with having the fact that I'm a PhD student on my profile and having my like educational background on my profile, because some of them, especially like Hinge, kind of centers around that. It's like, what degrees do you have? And I used to have it like fully and accurately filled out. And I found that I would get fewer matches, and B, that the matches that I would get would be like, oh, you're so smart for a girl, or like, you're way smarter than most of the girls I meet. And I'm like, so it sounds to me like you have very low regard for women just as a baseline, which is a huge red flag. Anyways, I guess that kind of is like a self-selecting, good kind of cut the chaff sort of approach. But when I just put that I'm a student at McGill, people like way different and tend to not ask me about my stuff as much, which is kind of refreshing. It's also really good for me to gauge how long it takes them to actually get to like a pretty basic part of what I do, because men, please take note, and women, if you're in here, I date you too. Welcome. Like, I guess hetero men that would date me, don't ask people questions. Girls ask people, like, everybody just ask people questions, because for the love of God, I've gone through some of my like conversations, and it's been like, they don't ever ask me a question. They just are like, oh, saw that you're McGill Neuroscience. I read this book. Surely you've heard of it. It's Dr. Schmidt, blah, blah, blah. And it's like something. And then they tell me how good they are at my profession. And I'm like, you are not mansplaining something before we've even started a conversation, please. Anyways, frequently it takes them a long time to even discover the fact that I don't have like a quote unquote job and that my job is research. And then that usually, cuts that right out of the line. Don't end up pursuing that. Jesus, sorry. I'm behind on the child. Once we start talking before anything, I go, yo, what are you looking for here? Because I'm interested in sexting rather than meeting someone. Straight to the fucking punch. Okay. I have plenty of experience on the apps. Yeah. Well, and I think that there's a very different experience on gay dating apps that are, designed for, I don't want to say that Grindr is designed exclusively for men, because it's not. Like, you can be trans on there, and trans men are men, so now I'm kind of like, I put my foot in my mouth just now. But the point is, I think like the amount of like like cis, I don't know. Anyways, it's a boy gay dating app, and there's a girl gay dating app called Her. And for the love of God, it fucking sucks, because you want to know what? A whole bunch of horny boys go on there and pretend to be girls and will be like, hey, you're so beautiful. And it's like very clear that they're not real women, because women don't talk like that to each other. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. You guys, I'm so sorry I'm behind on chat. And then if they're okay with that, we keep on chatting, sometimes over those lines. I'm really transparent and emotionally responsible with people I sext. Do you ask permission before you send your suggestive or explicit photography? Because even if you consent to sexting, it doesn't imply necessarily consenting to photo exchange. And a lot of people that I've had spicy messages with don't realize that those things are not the exact same. That like, as soon as you consent to sexting, that like, that means like, please send me every picture of your pee-pee that you've ever taken. Because for the most part, I actually don't want to see that. The unsolicited dick pic, the classic worst thing on the internet. Seems like a useful filter to have. I don't know which filter you're talking about, but I have lots of them. I understand most people have their niches and things that bore them to tears. Technology is just an ever-evolving beast, slowly weaving its existence into our world, like today's discussion. That's a great point. And I think it's cool to like have utility in something that's ubiquitous, because like for a while there was like, when boomers used to be like, oh, I'm never on my phone. I've got this $1,400 phone. I barely use it. And they would like have that as a point of pride. I'm just like, then why do you have it? Like, just don't have it. Like, you don't, like, fuck off. Anyways, but now they're like, oh yeah, I'm on the Facebook and here in the group that I'm in with, blah, blah, like it's just, now it's become a thing. And now they're, whatever. No shade to boomers. My father's boomer. I love him. But, we're just using stereotypes here. So sorry. Over here, I have never had someone call me out on being smart because of neuro and stuff. Yeah, well, Maybe men be like that, but as I'm a guy, I don't know. I just talk to the other person. I presume you're a hetero man if you're saying that you don't encounter other men on the apps. I just talk to the other person with interest rather than like flirting. Isn't showing interest like a little bit flirty though? You know? Like, where's the line? What's flirting? Expressed interest in someone and what they do, their interests, etc. Show that you're curious. Well, and also, if you're not curious, you don't want to date that person. Like, you might want to fuck them. You might want to have them be interested in you as a little fluff for your ego. But like, if you just want to talk at someone, get a therapist. They're paid to do that. But if you're not going to pay me to do it, go away. You know, like, I'm sitting here and talking at people for 3 hours, but you guys can leave whenever you want. Please don't. But like, you know, it's elective to be in here. But if I'm like captured on a date, you guys have heard the worst date in the world story when I had like well, actually, no, that wasn't the worst date in the world. You heard the Scientology date story. That's a classic. Yeah. Anyways. Every now and then, if the occasion sparks, witty flirt them through the conversation. Now, okay, I need more information about what's a witty flirt versus not witty flirt, because I think that I'm witty all the time. I have two modes. It's either witty or complete fucking idiot. So yeah, 1,000% there is trans women on there as well. Yeah. Maybe I should try out Grindr. Rat Boy Minis. I know exactly who this is. And if you're a fan of the, stream and you're here frequently, then you know who this is. Rat Boy Minis is the person that I've talked about almost on every single stream. As my friend back home that paints minis, and that sent me these delightful stickers that we went through on one of our streams. Rat Boy is my savior. What is this thing called? A kangaroo. And then this little glitchy Rizzo. Anyways, please be nice to each other in general, but be especially nice to my, delightful, wonderful twin flame from back home. Shock. You haven't stuck them all. Okay. Oh, I have so much to talk about. And I don't want to forget it. 'Cause let's just put a pin in that on why I haven't stuck them. But what was I talking about before? Fuck. I guess I was just reading the chat. I want to get caught up on chat. Anyways, thank you for being here, my sweet darling rat boy, and my wonderful close friends. Yeah, I've known that I met this man. I met him in Calgary, but our first long-term experience together was spending basically a month in Ireland, walking around with 20 other students. So there's whole stories there. But let's get caught up on chat. Are we at a point in human history that's unlike anything before? That is a very large question. Yes, of course. I think so. And yes, the second question is just supplemental to the first. Yeah, I don't trick people into sexting, but rather make sure that they know the interaction will be teleologically sexual through the phone. LMAO, do not send my pictures unless they ask me for it. That is good. Keep doing that. I'm going to have to adjust the lighting as we go here because the sun is going down. And anyways, we have that covered. We have a section that says accepts not safe for work photos. Yeah, but do you always accept them? Sometimes, I don't, if I'm in the okay, I will receive a scandalous pic mode at 10 p.m. That doesn't mean that on my walk to work, I'm going to be beep, beep, ba-doo. Let's get a look at some boobies or whatever. You know what I mean? I would have to toggle that on and off. Are you in the mood to get some visual stimuli? But, that kind of takes the magic out of it to say it like that. But listen, that's who I am. My sexting is more 80% spicy text and 20% pictures. And it's usually them who sends. Yeah, that's. Because lots of girls prefer just the text rather than the pictures. I for sure think that that's true. Same goes for me whenever I get pictures is because I ask for them. Not having interest in others' life is not flirty. unless you find it sexual for someone to be interested in you. Well, we did talk about desire being a huge part of sexual attraction when we had the fetishes episode. Desire is like super highly correlated with attraction and with arousal. So, you know, showing curiosity and interest in other people is like a good thing, kind of generally speaking. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it when we actually talk about some of the science and the studies and the psychological and sociological studies surrounding the online dating, because there's not a whole lot of neuroscience specifically in dating. Hey, Ninja Lover, welcome. Rat Boy Minis. I'm so glad you're here. Witty, flirty, flirt are like not so obviously flirts without context, but rather make the flirt be part of a bigger picture which is actually interesting. Okay. I don't know that cleared that up for me at all. But that's okay. I don't need to understand everything. Shock, you haven't stuck them all. Wrap by minis. I have my mini done up. I need to send you the file. XOXOXO. What do you think of body counts? What do you mean? What do I think of body counts? Like, should people care? I think that sexual history is just like any other history. If it's baggage that you're dragging around, then it's not going to be beneficial. If other people have a problem with your history of any kind, whether it's body count or just like, I don't know, that you used to live in Botswana, or like, I don't know, you like love pirates, whatever. If anybody has problems with those aspects of your past of any kind, then they don't want to date you. They want to date parts of you, which that's not how dating works, you know? So I think body count is kind of like, I don't know, I guess neither here nor there to me. It is a little bit useful as an indicator of like, I guess, experience and comfort with the act of, you know, sexual activity, you know, because if someone has only been with one partner, for example, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if the other partner has been with, I don't know, like 100 people or something like that, there might be a mismatch in like the comfort level. Like the person that's only slept with one person or even 0 people might be intimidated by the other person's sexual history. And I think that's something that goes a little bit deeper to like trust issues and stuff like that, or at least, you know, from my perspective, it does. I don't know that there's like necessarily science to it, but it seems to me that the more that it matters to a person, the more that they are kind of getting into like the wrong aspects of the other person, right? Because if you're a kind, loving, wonderful person that's compatible, then who gives a fuck if you used to like, you know, kick over people's bikes? That's not very nice, but you know, you did it as a kid, whatever. Rad. At Neuralasia can hook you or me for that. Outside of here. So it's an option in your profile. You can quickly change it. Absolutely. Hi. I want to know how to not suck. Well, first of all, you don't suck. You're here. You're kind. You're chatty. That's fun. I'm bitter, boring, short, fat, and old as a man. Old as a man? I don't... Are all men old? I could tell you they don't act like it all the time. Do I just need therapy and meds to dilute these feelings of sadness? Well, okay. I don't know about the feelings of sadness. I think... Do you mean how to not suck on dating apps? Because there's definitely strategies that I'm going to talk about that like just make profiles more attractive and stuff like that. And the nice thing is that you can take home with you regarding like physical descriptions is, number one, it doesn't actually matter how attractive you are on dating apps or in dating in general, because compatibility is more about being the same level of attractiveness as the person that you're dating. Like the high compatibility in that range, it just works in when they do like the research and stuff like that. Or like if someone's a 7, they tend to get along with other 7s. Boom. And it doesn't mean that neither of those 7s want 9s or 10s, but it just means that like the 7 and the 10 won't get along necessarily. And that personality, everyone says this, but it's truly your personality that matters. And it sounds really like, yeah, that's trite, but it's true. if you are hardworking, if you're honest, if you're kind, if you're generous, that can actually change people's perception of your attractiveness. So there was a study done, I think it was in like actually paleontological or archaeological students or something like that. And I think it was in a university in the UK. But they showed that there was someone in the sample that started off as a 3 when the cohort met, and then they spent the summer like digging stuff together or whatever they do. And at the end, the person that was labeled a 3 was, I think, like a 7.8 or something like that. And surely their physical, self didn't change that much. Maybe they got a haircut. Like, I don't know. I assume that the scientists would have controlled for any major like changes in what they look like. But the point is, it's more about who you are at the end of the day. And anybody that's not going to date you because of the way that you look is not generally the type of person that you want to be with anyway. So again, self-selection to put in your fucking no pile, like, go ahead, do the work for me, Yeah. As far as the sadness, I'm sorry that you're experiencing that. And everyone goes through sadness sometimes. And yeah. Therapy. We talked about that on a whole big thing. Therapy. I read asking someone to help also makes them feel more attracted to you. I don't know about asking them for help, making them like physically attracted to you in like a romantic or a sexual way, but it certainly engenders feelings of like positive regard towards that person. From what I understand, I think that's from like an IO psychology field, so industrial organizational psychology. So this is like team building and stuff like that. I have a couple colleagues that are in that realm, and I don't know the research super well, but I do know that there is research to show that in a professional setting, especially if you ask someone for help, that generally makes them like you more, which I guess is what you said, kind of. But I would caveat that it's not necessarily more attracted, but it's more, they like you more, like, I guess, affection. I don't know how they operationalize that. I have a speck on my screen. Anyways, good answers. Well, thank you. I mean, they're just either facts or what I think, which are not the same thing. I'm not one of the people that thinks that my opinions are facts, but I can tell you my lived experience. Shitty flirty equals random compliment. The other person witty flirty blend a compliment with an ongoing topic. Okay, like just kind of slide them in. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. I feel like I'm really good at both of those things. I'm witty. I'm funny. I like me. Yes, I am old. I am men. Just in general, the more time I spend on dating apps, the more I find myself tempted to keep drinking. The last date I went on was with a woman in her 40s who had multiple health issues and things which I didn't mind, but she cheated on me like my other exes and told me off, saying how much I suck and things, and it's just really hitting hard at this age. Well, first of all, other people's opinions of you are not facts. And I know that it's really hard to like hear those sorts of things, but usually that's a reflection of that person, not you. And I would encourage you to not give yourself a like they always do, or like this never happens for me. Always and never thinking, as we talked about in the therapy episodes, is one of the cognitive biases that we have, the like thinking traps that we fall into. And there's another thing that lots of people have heard of called a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's just straight up true. So if you tell yourself the story that this always happens to me, it might not be that you consciously select people that are likely to do this, but certainly you might not subconsciously, catch on to red flags, or you might, turn a blind eye. Rat Boy Minis, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you so much in so many ways, on so many levels. You are one of my favorite people on planet Earth. Yeah, I'll just love you. Anyways, so try not to fall into those cognitive traps. I mean, like, here's the thing. I can't act a therapist and stuff like that. I can say that, like, there's a community that accepts you, and it's here and probably in lots of other places. And that proves that, what this person is saying about, whatever they don't like about you, all these nasty things, is probably not true, or maybe not entirely true. I don't know, the situation necessarily, but try and act like an investigator in your own situation. And if dating apps are getting you down, go off them. Dating apps were getting me down. You guys have heard me talk about how I'm painfully single. It's because I think I'm on like an 85-day like deliberate voluntary celibacy, voluntarily, abstaining from the apps because I was in there looking for the wrong things. And I consistently, Sarah123458 thank you for the follow. Welcome. If there's anybody new in here, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Neuralicia. Typically on Mondays, as you can see right there, Vulgar Science, which we're doing here, is with my wonderful, very close friend and colleague and fellow PhD student, Layla Show. But she is in California, the bitch, enjoying beach life and skydiving. So I'm doing it myself. But usually we have a bit of banter. Fridays, it is just me. This is my wonderful puppy Hoon. She's having a little nap. And yeah, on Vulgar Science specifically, we tend to talk about spicy topics, but honestly, it kind of gets spicy any old time. Today, we're talking about dating apps because your resident single girl is right here and has lots to complain about and lots of research to talk about. And also, I can just, especially for people that want to know what a, cis bi woman's perspective is on dating, I'm pretty much an open book. So if you want to ask me what it's like how is this perceived when guys have the fish in the picture or like have their pickup trucks, I can let you know just how revolting that is if you would like on a sliding scale of 0 to 10. The answer is 10. Anyways, if you break one of your wooden pencils, I'll donate $200 to Children's Hospital. I don't know what that means, but I have one here. Which, how would you do that? How would I verify this? I have tons of pencils. I'll break... Which one should I break? I want to make sure that I don't break a good one. How about Sensonics International 125 White Horse Pike, Haddon Heights, New Jersey. Yeah, fuck New Jersey. Ugh. Actually, no, not fuck New Jersey. I'm sure New Jersey's lovely. I've only ever been to the airport, but there you go. $200. Do it. Put your money where your mouth is. That was actually more difficult than I thought it would be. I'm not as strong as I think I am. Actually, I am. But I think my grip strength is something that I struggle with. Anyways, here we are. Even pretty people get sad. You're not alone. Yeah, listen, I know a lot of beautiful people in my life, and let me tell you, they experience sadness. My best friend back home is one of the most beautiful people inside and out, but she's simply one of the most gorgeous creatures on planet Earth. And if you want to see her, she's going to guest star in a Vulgar Science on May, what day? I can't remember. Anyways, you can see for yourself just how amazing and beautiful she is. But let me tell you, we all have mental health struggles. It is going to be May 15th. May 15th, she's in EMS. She's a paramedic. You're going to be able to ask her any questions about her experiences. She's going to talk about what it's like to work shift work. She's going to talk about, some of the trauma and content that she's seen and what it's like going through those really high stress situations as someone in emergency services. And I think it's really going to be super interesting because we're going to be away, and that's actually Layla and Sean's wedding anniversary. So they're going to be having a nice little time. And it's going to be a remote episode. It'll be actually at my mom's house back home. So anyways, damn, that's a great self-esteem. Look, I know I'm not special. I didn't mean to offend. No, it's not. Sorry, I hope that you didn't misinterpret me. You didn't offend me. And you are special in your own way. I don't know what way you're special, but you're welcome here. And this is a no judgment place. So, as long as you're not trauma dumping, we listen to each other's experiences here. So, yeah, don't worry about it. I dig it. I also think I'm great at flirting. I just am too romantic, which makes it so that I can't be with people without being an emotional connection. So you can't have sex with people without an emotional connection because that's called demisexuality. And that is a real fucking thing. And something that's relatively not spoken about in the LGBTQIA+ because it's after the plus. So demisexual individuals need a connection emotionally to truly enjoy intimacy. typically is how that's described, from what I understand. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the demi people that I do know, that's kind of the understanding that I've got. Anyways, that's why sexting is my loophole. It's a rat emote too. Amazing. Did you use the little rat emote? Have we named the rat emote? I think I'm going to make that a channel point redemption thing, because Risto was telling me, like, you got to get channel points going, because right now they can just unlock random emotes from what I understand. But listen, I tried to do a little bit of it today, but again, it takes time. It takes time, people. You got to be patient with me. Yeah, look at that little guy. I love him. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, he was talking about the follow alert. Derp. Sorry, guys. You know, this is why when people are like, whoa, you're so smart, I'm like, am I? Or am I just very highly educated in one area? And now I'm going to go on my tirade about intelligence, because I think that people tend to equate education with intelligence. And I'm not going to say that I'm not a smart person, but I will say that, like, I'm smart in certain arenas and I have less strength in other arenas. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just a waiter, I'm just a bartender, I'm just a mechanic or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you ever seen me waitress? I told you guys about some of my waitressing experience, when I worked at the strip club as a waitress. Lord Jesus, it's awful at it. And I think that there's like physiological intelligence and interpersonal intelligence, emotional intelligence, and all that sort of stuff that is really undersold, because it doesn't get you the jobs as a lawyer or a doctor, or, you know, you don't get a fancy piece of paper from some fucking stupid university that claims it's about education when really it's just a business, because all universities are just businesses, but that's okay. Anyways, that's my diatribe. No offense at all. I just meant more like you have a place here and that you're not alone. Sometimes being alone is the best. Where's your cohort? I know, Lilith Hobo. Are you talking about my sweet darling Layla? She's in California. She's in California. She had a conference and they're just enjoying some beach time and some family time and kind of be bopping around down there. I'm drinking too much. I'll dip. Goodbye. Well, I hope you try out therapy, and I hope things are okay with you. So we banned Sarah 12358. The pencil demands were too much. I'm fine with that. Ugly people are more genuine, though. You can tell by how hard they work. Ooh, is that true? Is that true? I think that the fact that there's a lot more high profile attractive people that are nefarious, because high Hollywood is all basically super attractive people. So when we hear about these like publicized kind of nefarious and like shady, shitty acts kind of thing, that creates an attentional bias in our mind. And then we're more likely to like self-select or to like auto pay attention to things that confirm that. And I would say, I don't think that there is actually a correlation there. And this is a great segue into some actual research. People tend to do exactly this. And they tend to think that, actually it's the opposite of what you said, but they tend to think that attractive people are smarter. They're more likely to get jobs. Like pretty privilege is a thing. Just the more attractive you are, the more kind people think you are. Like they took a whole bunch of pictures that had been previously rated in a pilot study on their attractiveness, just like in a giant survey, like basically hot or not kind of thing, to get these pictures that had hundreds of ratings on their attractiveness. And then they gave different attractiveness things and asked them to be like, how much do you trust this person? Would you give this person a job? Et cetera, et cetera. And basically it was highly correlated that people that are more attractive according to that study are, you know, tend to be rated as kinder and funnier and all the positive things, with no actual backing to it, because it's literally just a picture. So anyways, this little lurk person. Oh no, I'm not Demi. I'm pretty sure Demis do not get excited, which is not my case. Oh, they get excited. They just only get excited in certain circumstances, and they definitely can get excited by themselves. But thanks for hanging out. Please come back anytime. We all have a very specific set of skills that are pieces to the puzzle of the world. Ah, that's true and profound, and I like it. I notice most people associate intelligence with how well you speak English rather than your problem-solving skills. Yes, Lilith, that is tea. People thinking that people speaking English as a second language are stupider, like the Sofia Vergara and like Selma Hayek, like they assume that they're ditzes. And I'm like, most of us only speak one language. Like the fact that they're even like conversing in a whole ass new language, like you don't know how smart they might sound in their language because you're too dumb. You're not dumb. You just don't know their language. But like it's funner to say like, because you're too dumb to understand that language, motherfucker. And it's a good way to like kind of cut someone that has that bad kind of perspective down. But we don't tend to do that around here. Cut people down. We lift people up. Dole leche. I fall in love easily, so I prefer expressing my physical sexuality with someone who also feels a connection towards me. I think that's Demi. At least a little bit Demi, or at least interested in trying something rather than just fucking. They also ask you to rip your clothes. I didn't see that. I did not see that. Well, rest in peace, pencil. If nothing else, it was probably entertaining watching me work a little bit too hard to break a pencil. Ugly people have to work twice as hard because they aren't easily awarded for their work in society. Pretty privilege is for sure a thing. 100 billion% it's a thing. And yeah, that's true. That's true. Can relate. Listen, Risto, I know what you look like, and that's not true. Hot or Not and Face the Jury. Those were the days. Man, hotornot.com. I remember when that was a thing, and like I so desperately wanted to upload my pictures to it, and I was like fucking 12 or something. I don't know. I was too young. But I would like spend like, you know, this is like back when you had, listen, y'all know that my age is a mystery, but it's not a mystery. But I'm aging myself quite a bit here. You remember when you actually had like a computer room, like your family would like have an office where the computer lived, and it was a completely separate area, and you had to like share the computer with like your family. So if my mom was like wanting to type up a document, I'd be like, Mom, I want to talk on MSN. And then I got a computer for my bedroom, and I was like, oh, so cool. Anyways, those were the days. Yeah. I mean, they do not feel excited without an emotional connection. They can feel excited without an emotional connection by themselves. I sound way smarter in English than my mother language, Spanish. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I'm pretty sure they meant to rip a piece of cloth, which is still edgy though. Ooh, yeah, trolls be trolling. Banhammer warmed up pay, Dougie. A den. What's a den? Like a dog? Like a wolf den? I feel we would be discussing eternally if we were to know each other in person. Potentially. It's always ready. Banhammer, ready. She's catching up with the chat. Keep spamming. Listen, it doesn't take much for me to get behind on the chat because what was I going to talk about? I wrote like a little note, and my notes are so so bad because yeah, they just are. I wrote down just name. That was one of the notes of something that I didn't want to talk about. I just wrote the word name. Don't know what that meant. What was I talking about? So frustrated. Like a den in a house where you can have a computer. Oh, the den. Pet the mods? Pet the mods. What's pet the mods? Like to pet you, the mod? We can spam existential questions. Please don't. Do things exist outside our perception? What's the meaning of life? No. Cancelled. No existential stuff here. Can one take a bath twice in the same river? Absolutely. But we're not getting into it. We're talking about dating apps, people. We're talking about dating apps. And I gotta tell you, okay, does anybody else that uses dating apps find that there's different kind of like vibes to different apps? So like Tinder is obviously like a hookup app. Like, but I also find that the people on there are like more physically attractive. than they are on like Bumble and Hinge. So Hinge is more like people like actually looking for real connections, and then Bumble is for boogers, honestly. Like that's what it feels like as someone that typically has it turned on to both men and women, or everybody as it says. I also get like approximately 50 male profiles for every one female profile, and about 40% of the female profiles on any of the apps are girls that are in a hetero relationship and want to spice it up and have a little threesome with their boyfriends or their husbands, which fucking blows. And like I said earlier, the female only like gay dating apps are terrible because they get infiltrated by horny fucking hetero men. Ass. Oh, Pet the Mods is BTTV. Okay, no existential. Thank you. 42. Isn't that a thing in the book with the like sci-fi thing? There's a book, the People's Almanac or whatever. Anyways, dating apps are useless. Listen, they're not useless. Most people that are in like have become couples in the last like 10 years, I think something like 20 to 30% of existing relationships are ones that started online in some capacity. So they're not useless, but it can feel like they're useless. And I definitely share your frustration. Yes, Phil's funny. I don't get it. Anyways, I find OkCupid way cooler than Tinder. I've never used OkCupid. I thought that was for like, you know, we would see like the ads like, we've matched, you know, billions of people and they're happy. And it would be like, you know, some like gray-haired Viagra commercial ass looking man with some like active woman wearing adult diapers kind of lady. And they'd be like, we found love after we lost our partners. I kind of like got that vibe off OkCupid, but that might be very dated information. I didn't even think it was still a thing. I used to be on Plenty of Fish when that was a thing. So anyways, Tinder is for hegemonic people. Bumble is for posh people? Okay, it must be location dependent because let me tell you, yeah, at least here in my country. Hetero people calling Tinder a hookup app when Gayland Tinder is more like a serious dating app. Yeah, so cultural differences in that way too, not just like location based, because like I think Gayland, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but Gayland is more like just like if you turned like the volume up to 11 on everything. Like it's a lot more cut to the chase, a lot more explicit with like just straightforward. There's no fucking around, or there's lots of fucking around, and that's the point. Get what I mean? Yeah. I used a dating app once. It was called OkCupid, and some mom got back to me and wanted to take a dump on my chest. Lord. I mean, people use Ashley Madison and like those kinds of like sugar daddies and sugar babies and whatever. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What did I call it? I think I called it something like that. The answer to everything is 42. Both my parents met their couple in dating apps like 5 years ago or something like that. Yeah, I mean, like I know lots of people that met on apps. I haven't gone on a date. Well, no. Who have I been cavorting with recently that I've met either on or offline? So the last person that I had dalliances with, had a little dalliance, was from an app. The prior person was from an app. The prior person was from an app. Yeah, I think the last IRL people that I dated was 2020. The person that I was with for like a year and a bit, him and I met in real life. And then we split up. And actually the next person that I started hanging around with was one of his friends, but not one of his friends. It was actually one of his friends' ex-girlfriends. So we both kind of were like exiled from the friend group, thank God. And just kind of started hanging out and things conspired. Anyways, yeah. Remember Madison, politicians used it to cheat and sabotage other politicians. I love that. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm behind. My experiences with dating app have been horrible. Catfish 3 times and will probably never use a dating app again. Well, here's the thing. Tools are tools, right? And, you know, there's I don't know about being catfished because I don't know. It's just never happened to me. I'm very selective about, like, I swipe right maybe once every couple hundred profiles because, like, it's pretty bleak out there. It's pretty bleak. I'm not gonna lie. It's not great. I'm not a, being like, oh, the apps are amazing, but they do work for some people, and if they don't work for you, that's okay. And this is interesting. Have you guys seen that, like, lime or pear ring? People have like a ring that they wear that's like lime green that you like pay like $13 for this like silicone ring that's supposed to be like a symbol across the world that you're like actively looking for an actual relationship. And their whole shtick is like, we met not on the apps. And they're like trying to monetize that basically by hawking just like a little universal symbol. Like, you know how swingers use like pineapples as like symbols of, fellow swingers being around, and how there used to be like the whole earring gay thing, it would be like a secret signal. So yeah, people are trying to peddle that now. So I don't know, maybe look into that. But also, like, if you have the kind of all or nothing thinking, like, those don't work for me, this always happens to me, as I was saying to Ninja Lover, that kind of narrative is really powerful. The way that we speak to ourselves, like, we always tell ourselves, like, your affirmations, speak kindly to yourself, blah, blah, blah. But that includes speaking accurately, or at least not telling yourself overt lies about the day-to-day. And it might be that historically, yes, that has happened, and those are facts, but you can't predict the future. I mean, maybe some people can a little bit, but like, if you tell yourself a narrative, you are almost certainly going to fall victim to a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that is a psychological, almost unavoidable thing. It sounds really hokey, but your thoughts manifest in the way that you exist. Even people, there was a study, I'm trying to remember the details of it specifically, so like give me a second. But there's people that were reading like a story that was like kind of heroic and like used like a lot of positive valence words, and people that were reading one that was like less, and they did like body position monitoring and stuff like that. And it wasn't even about them or them talking to themselves or other people complimenting them or anything, but like just the positive and negative language changed the way that people physically put themselves out into the world in like a microcosm. And that's reading a story that's not even about you. Can you imagine you, the person that you know the best is yourself, telling yourself every day that this doesn't work for me, I'm never going to meet anybody, blah, blah, blah. I know it's really hard to break that. And I feel like I'm the pot calling the kettle black, because I tell my viewers and myself every day that I'm painfully single. But I also am electing to be single right now. So if that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, that's fine. But don't mistake my meaning here. It's not easy to see the biases in your thinking and to see those kind of like thought traps. But I'm here to be the person to remind you that it's never the one until it is. And lots of things fail until they don't, And the only way to potentially get a win in something that's traditionally been loss, loss, loss is to try again, right? If we quit everything that didn't work right the first time, science wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be getting my PhD. I would have quit years ago, right? So I'm trying not to be like, inspirational speech here, but a little bit I am. I don't know. Anyways, Grindr, you mean? Yes, Grindr. Oh yeah, lots of gay people use Grindr, but it's literally dick pics flying around. We also have Scruff Hornet. Okay. What are Scruff and Hornet? I would like to know the information. And you just pick whatever you prefer and start talking to them, no matching. Okay, my appointment starts in a few minutes. I'll try to be back afterwards. Lurk. Okay, bye, Risto. Damn, Leisha is the Cupid Queen. Am I? I don't know. IRL people are the worst. That happened. Schleppy. I don't know what happened. Oh, pup break. Hey, it worked. You want a pup break? Okay, I'll follow. Pup. She's like, who? Me? Who? Come here. It's time for a pup break. Pup break. Pup break. Pop break. Come here. Oh. Someone doesn't want to be picked up. This is how she makes it so that I can't pick her up, you guys. She rolls onto her back. But I got her anyway. I'm coming. Ugh. Pup break. Pup break. It's time for a pup break. I don't know why I'm singing to you guys with my horrible voice. Like it's some infomercial. Like, body break. It's pup break. Does anybody else remember Body Break with Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod? For those of you that don't know, this is Hoon. She is my sweet angel darling. She's 8.5. She's an old lady. Look at the gray chops right here. Gray chops. She was a rescue from the Northwest Territories. She came from an indigenous reservation with a big litter of her siblings, and she was the last one to get adopted because she was a little runt. And we think she's a Kelpie mix, which is like an Australian breed. And yeah, she's just my perfect angel. She's saved my life many times. So that's the end of your pup break. It is. I like a pirate, like that. Anyways, socials are a thing. Use them before meeting someone. Ask for their socials and check if they have real people interacting with them. True. But also, like, anybody that's, like, really trying to catfish, who's like, you woke me up and now you're not going to play with me. People that are really trying to catfish are going to think of that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like, I really don't want to be, like, victim blaming here, but I feel like sometimes people, actually, there's evidence to suggest that even with real people, or I assume this would apply to catfish, situations as well. People tend to have this kind of boom or bust effect is what they talk about, and a strangers on a train effect. So the problem with dating apps, I'm going to take off my sweater. I'm a little hot. Picking up my dog I haven't been to the gym in a couple of days. Anyways, goodbye, 8-year-old boy sweater. That sounded weird. I didn't steal this from an 8-year-old boy. I purchased it, just for anybody that wasn't here for that story. Okay, so when you meet people on dating apps, the reason that it's like qualitatively different from in real life dating is, first of all, there is no, what was it called? There's a thing called the absence of gating. So you can be laying on your couch, like in your underwear. You can be like sneezing and like wiping your boogers on your arm kind of thing, and doing all these like usual things that would be something that would gate an interaction from happening. So like if you're at a bar and you see someone doing that, you're like, ooh. So you wouldn't even get to the point of the conversation that you might get to in a dating app situation, because they get to filter what information that you get. It's highly curated, right? And then there's also the thing called the strangers on a train effect. So people are more likely to disclose secrets or personal information or closer, stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily share with someone that isn't part of their circle and isn't likely to be able to take the information that's being disclosed back to someone they know. Hey, Infernius, welcome. I'm sorry I'm behind on chat. I didn't see that you came in, and I'm still behind on chat. But anyways, so strangers on a train effect is, effective on trains, but also in the apps. People are more likely to get in a deep conversation when they actually connect with someone. And then the next tendency to do is the boom or bust theory. It's a theory, right? Where people basically, because of that absence of gating things, you have to fill in those gaps yourselves or leave them empty. And if you want to do the strangers on a train thing and get, close with someone and talk to them about things that matter to you, probably for a long-term relationship, but in the absence of these other cues, you're gonna, basically disclose a lot of stuff first. You're gonna fill in those gaps yourself. And usually you want to fill them in, especially if you're enamored with someone, you're going to fill them in with details that, are serving what your mental bias wants to see. So, maybe myself, I want to date someone that's not a misogynist, bare ass minimum, bar is on the floor, whatever. So, I'm going and, texting this person on an app and whatever, and there's not been anything to suggest that they are of a feminist persuasion. So I'm just giving them kind of the benefit of the doubt, but the extreme version of that, right? And realistically, for all I know, they could be sitting there looking at like Jordan Peterson, how to tell women to shut the fuck up .com.co.uk or whatever, while they're texting me and being like, I respect women. You know what I mean? Like, I have no way of knowing that. And to some degree, that's present in regular dating, but it's hyper present in online dating. So what we need to do is be mindful of the fact that we are, for better or for worse, going to fill in those gaps. We are going to fill in those gaps, but we need to know how we're filling them in. And I think that circles back to the catfish thing, right? Because usually there's going to be at least a couple of like, if it seems too good to be true, it is things, and a couple of like tests, I guess, that you can do. And not that you should have to test everybody that you meet, but if you have gaps that could be proving the person's reality and the person's existence, but you're not getting those gaps filled voluntarily, then the onus is on you to either be like, I don't have that gap filled, or I've filled it with some sort of, fluffy nonsense that I want to hear, or, get it filled accurately, anyways. I started to see ads for that. You're talking about the Lime Ring or the Pear Ring or whatever. Dating apps will also teach you that most people hire people for jobs that they can see themselves sleeping with. That's what I've noticed in the NGO sector for years. Oh, hire people for jobs. Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's super true, and the data supports that. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? Amen. You don't need to love someone to date them, though. You sure don't. But yeah, if you're looking for a healthy relationship, you got to be mentally stable. Not necessarily. So I would say there's this kind of, I don't know, inkling. McMellers, hi. Welcome to the chat. I am Neuralicia. Usually on Mondays, I have my counterpart, Layla, but she is in California, so now it's just me and my pup, Hoon, and we're talking about dating apps. So welcome. Thanks for being here. What was I talking about before? Oh yeah, you got to be mentally stable. There's a heuristic thought, a tendency in popular thought is what heuristic means. There's a tendency in popular thought to believe that you have to be healed to be dating, And realistically, that's just not true, because first of all, most of us have some fucking healing to do, because not enough of us are in therapy. Everyone should just be in therapy. Go to therapy. You need it. Even if you don't need therapy, go to therapy. Do you wait until you're dying to go to the doctor? No, you go for fucking checkups. So go get your brain checked up. It's the most important organ in your whole fucking body. Take care of it, for the love of God. Anyways, and even if you're doing great, imagine how much better you could be doing if you were paying attention to the master computer in your brain. And for all you tech people out there, do you take care of your fancy computer with the lights and the fans, and do you buy it little glowy keyboards and stuff like that? Get your brain a glowy keyboard. Feed that thing delicious stuff, like help it out. Go to therapy. Be like, how can I, if things are good, let's make them better, Not that you shouldn't be satisfied with the life that you have. If you truly are satisfied, that's great. But, make it so that you can maintain that, even if you don't want to, always be looking around the corner for the next best thing and like the better thing. You can still be like, okay, how am I going to maintain this? How am I going to keep this for like longevity and whatever? Anyways, go to therapy. That's my diatribe. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is, Dale Leche, I don't think that mentally stable is one thing, but I would just want to be clear that mental stability is a really kind of like willy-nilly non-scientific term. And if we mean that someone needs to be healed and completely resolved of their previous issues and baggage and stuff like that, a lot of the ways that people heal are in relationship, especially people that have experienced a lot of disappointment, emotional, physical, and psychological trauma. They can tell themselves over and over and over again that it's going to be different and, heal themselves in their mind. But until they can prove that with an actual relationship. And it doesn't need to be a relationship that satisfies all those categories, but at least one that isn't terrible. That can be really beneficial. And you can heal in relationship as well. So that's just what I'm going to say. You don't, but if you see something long-term with that person, it may help. Welcome in, Fernias. Painfully single hits me in the feels. Going on year 6. We're buffering. Oop, there we go. Sorry about the buffering. I don't know what I can close to like make things better here. Oh, I guess I can, we talked about this the other day. I can fucking close Spotify. Puppy. What a cute pupper. Do you remember when they did The Amazing Race? Hal Johnson and Joy McLeod. I didn't watch it actually, but I bet you they fucking slayed. I love them. Why is she so calm? She's not actually calm at all as like a dog, but she surrenders because she knows that I'll win. And she knows that she'll get love and kisses and stuff like that. My dogs are like wiggly as fuck. I'm gonna go eat once you read this message. She's purchased a sweater from an 8-year-old. That's worse than stealing it. I didn't buy it from the 8-year-old, de leche. Enjoy whatever it is that you're eating. I hope it's delicious. So they could smear campaign you. So that they could smear campaign you. Imagine if a top G raid happened here. God, that would be so awful. What was I saying? Was it that bad? I think that sometimes I say unhinged shit that could be taken poorly out of context, but also, whatever. Oh, hey. BRB, changing my laundry over. Relatable. We're healing together personally. 35 going on 65. Hello, welcome back. Too bad therapy isn't more affordable for people. There are a lot of people in need but can't have because of cost. McMellers, yeah. Cost is a huge barrier. I would encourage people who, like myself, have a huge barrier of cost to investigate if there's places in your jurisdiction that have what's called a sliding scale fee schedule. So here, and in lots of places that I'm familiar with, there's different like therapy groups and stuff like that will, if you send them like a paycheck stub or like some sort of income statement, will give you therapy at a cheaper cost. So my therapy is actually only like $70 Canadian. And I get half of that covered by the university, which is pretty good. So that means that I only pay like $35 per therapy session. I know that that isn't necessarily available to a lot of people, and that $70 is still actually a pretty significant cost barrier, especially if you don't have coverage, which I know a lot of American people don't. But here's the other thing. You can also, seek out like-minded people through avenues like this and use that as kind of a pseudo-therapy. Again, don't trauma dump and stuff like that and be mindful, but like formal talk therapy is one thing, but seeking out supports for your mental health, there's lots of apps, there's lots of, things that you can do. And yeah, we should have access to therapy super easily and super cheap, but the fact is we don't. So we have to work with what we've got, and I would encourage people to be flexible from where you get your supports, especially because if you go to true talk therapy with a professional, what they'll try and do for you in most cases, regardless of their theoretic background and their, psychological, mindset, is they'll try and equip you with a bunch of tools to deal with your daily life, right? So expanding your toolbox is a goal in therapy. Thank you for the follow, McMellers. I really, really appreciate it. Welcome to the sewer. You're a rat now. Sorry. I'm not sorry at all. I love rats. This is 69. Her name is 69 because the rat that I have a tattoo of on my leg is Rat 60. And then we had a poll to name this one, and the consensus was 69. So in any event, I would encourage people to diversify your toolbox in all walks of life, but particularly where mental health is concerned, because sometimes your therapist isn't going to be available. Even if you had, all the money in the world and you could go to a therapist once a week, you have a meltdown and you want to contact your therapist, maybe they're not available. So what are you going to do in that moment? Maybe you're going to call a loved one. Maybe you talk to your loved ones about more serious things than you typically do. Maybe you reach out to friends and that sort of thing. Maybe you go on a breathing app. Maybe you use one of the breathing exercises that we talked about in the coping mechanisms episode that I had not last Friday, but the Friday before, which I will just review that for you. An instant way to stimulate your vagus nerve and your parasympathetic nervous system to bring your stress levels down immediately is to breathe in, ideally through your nose, fast and deep, and do it twice. So, and then sigh out quickly. So what you're doing is you're trying to flood your body with oxygen, because frequently what is causing a stress response, or at least what is contributing to a stress response, is carbon dioxide to oxygen ratio in your lungs. So what you're doing is filling your alveoli in your lungs, all these little air sacs that are in your lungs, with a whole bunch of oxygen and sending it back out there. And also, if you do deep diaphragmatic breathing, you're going to press down on your diaphragm, which is going to stimulate your vagus nerve, which is going to cause a whole cascade of things that we talked about on Friday. So there's a tool for your toolbox, regardless of whether you're in therapy. And I know that's not going to fix every single thing. We're talking so much about therapy. We're supposed to be talking about dating apps. So, hi, she got off topic again. Oopsie. But whatever. We love a rabbit hole. Yeah. Anyways, I'm behind. What else is new? Alicia's behind. Oh, damn, she used the old computer mind analogy. My cog size senses are tingling. Did that make you feel all tingly in your special parts, aka your brain? I agree, Dale Leche. My benefits cover up to $2,000 for that sort of thing. Very lucky. Cash in on it. Go. Like, I actually, 35 going on 65, you've said that you utilize that resource before, so that's good. Hi, Eyes on Boney. Welcome back. Nice, you def lucked out. LMAO sounds like my German Shepherds. They're like that too. Oh, I love German Shepherds. If you care to join the Discord and want to drop pet pics, I love pet pics. And my Discord is, in its infancy stages. So, we can always use more pet pics if you're interested. I don't know if Doug's here, but I'm going to put, I think, the thing that'll make the Discord come up if he hasn't already, because I'm behind on chat. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. I did the right thing, and I didn't see that you had already done the right thing. Look at her. She's learning. She's growing. I'm so behind. Finally, I'm free and can go eat. See you later, chat. Bye, Dale Leche. Thank you for being here and for sharing and chatting. Girl, your stream. You do what you want and say what you want. I mean, obviously, I don't have much of a filter. And the whole kind of mandate of Vulgar Science is that we talk about the things that usually have shame and stigma attached. So for those of you that are new, we've talked about fetishes, we've talked about dreams, we've talked about why you need to go to therapy. We're talking about dating apps today and, kind of the behind the scenes stuff. We've talked about communication and how to communicate better. And that's not necessarily, always at the surface spicy, but we do get into the spicier stuff, right? So, it's all systems go around here. Dating people outside your social circle has less chance of you being smeared. That's exactly it. So that's the strangers on a train effect. That's a thing. That's a full-blown thing. Did you do your hair and makeup to look like Galadriel on purpose, or was it totally unintentional? I think I know who that is. That's from, give me a minute, loading, the show that everybody likes with the books, but not Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings. She's from Lord of the Rings, and that's not Liv Tyler's character. I might not know who you're talking about. So obviously it's not intentional. This is just how I've been putting my hair up these days, because it keeps it out of my face. But I also think that I look a bit like an egg if I just don't have any of it. Like, it just it almost like at a glance looks like I'm bald if I don't have the tendrils down. So I've just started doing what I'm calling my sideburns. So, I did do my hair like this on purpose, but I didn't do it to look like that. Middle Earth dating app discussion commence. Is there such a thing? She does look like her. I need to know who you guys are talking about. Because if it's Liv Tyler, I look nothing like her, but she's mega hot. So if anybody even remotely thought that, I would be just ecstatic. She's so fucking hot. If you guys like Liv Tyler, there's a show called Harlots. That's a fantastic show. It's about harlots in like a whorehouse in like, I want to say the 1700s. Anyways, and it's got the girl from Downton Abbey that plays Sybil. It's got Liv Tyler, and they're basically just, you know, walking around screwing and being hilarious. And it's like super good representation in front of the camera and behind the scenes for like racial representation, age representation, abilities, all of those sorts of things. It's really cool. Anyways, okay, back. What? Some folks I know pay $10,000 for therapy at CAMH. Okay, so going to a psychiatrist, a medical doctor, and going to a psychologist or a counselor for therapy are two different things. Both can be therapy, and you can get therapy from a psychiatrist, but psychiatrists tend to be more expensive because a medical doctor, I don't know why. CAMH is also like a very specialty kind of like niche thing. Like they're like the hoity-toity. It's kind of like NIH for Canada, for those of you that don't know. Yeah. So I think that might be part of it. There's like a prestige factor and a whole bunch of things that shouldn't matter for healthcare access, but zoinks. Spoiler alert, it fucking does. But $10,000 for therapy? What, are they giving them gold bars with each time that they come? That's ridiculous. Definitely agree with all that. I don't know which part you're agreeing with, but I love being agreed with. So speak Sindarin to me. I don't know what Sindarin is. I tried therapy here in Italy, but I'm not so good with the language, and I ended up in a hospital for a week. Oh my God. Wait, so you're not good at Italian, and you tried therapy in Italian and they committed you involuntarily, or you needed to be and you just happened to be in Italy? I'm sorry that that happened to you. But try again. You know, lots of people don't have a good match or a good experience the first time they try therapy. Just like dating, doesn't always work the first time. Actually, most of the time, it doesn't work the first time. So, hey, rats are sweet anyways. Some of the sweetest animals I've worked with being a vet tech. You're a vet tech? That's really cool. I love rats. Rats are just little pocket puppies. They're so fucking smart. I'm a rat enthusiast. Everything, rats, all day rats. I love rats. I have a rat, look. I have a rat sticker on my phone. That's nice. I also have several cowboys, cowgirl, cowboy, and I have just like various desk rats. Rat. I have rat stickers that I showed earlier. Anyways, rats, all the time rats. A Dale. Okay. Worth noting, tools involve work, and work is hard, and sometimes we all feel beat up. I feel all beat up after a session. Yes. Yeah. I am not trying to downplay at all and make it sound like, just use your tools. Yeah. After therapy can be exhausting. I can sometimes need days to recover, especially if it's like a big like emotional thing that you're tackling. It's not easy, but fuck, is it worth it? It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Just trust me on that. And, you know, if you don't find that your first foray into therapy is effective, just try again. You know, you got to do the courtship ritual with so many things in life. If you got a job that you hated and you realized it in the first couple of weeks and you knew that there was another job out there potentially, go to the other job, you know? Anyways, dug all over it. That's what mods are for, BB. I thought maybe you were still at your laundry and I'm so behind on chat. That Bonjour. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Morphide Clark is the Morphid Clark. I gotta look this lady up. You guys think that I look like this person? She better be cute. All right, we're gonna do it. Look at that. Look at how ready I was to like search something with you guys. Oh no, there's chat on it. Whoops. I don't think I meant to put the chat there. But that's okay. What's her name? Marvin Clark? Morphid. Is this what is the origins of that name? Danish? Oh, she's cute. Okay, I see it. Look at this. What a badass. Can we get a load of that picture? Oh, fuck yeah. Is that what she looks like in Lord of the Rings? That's sick. Let's go back to that. This is great, you guys. That's nice. Thank you for saying that I look even remotely like that. I think it might just be that she's blonde, you guys. I don't think that I particularly look like this. I am blonde and white. This is badass. Oh, look at her. Oh, Kate Blanchett. What a babe. Holy moly, she's a babe. And she plays a lesbian sometimes. Love that. Love. Oh no, I closed it. Fuck. Okay, that's fine. Ah, guys, I'm having issues. Sorry. Anyways, it's a Galadriel actor all the way. Also played by Kate Blanchett. Oh, okay. I look nothing like Kate Blanchett. So, again, just being blonde. I find therapist people put people in forms so quickly without getting to know them. What do you mean in forms? Have you seen the videos that rats dig out landmines? Yes, hero rats. They're super cool. Yeah, they have a really good sense of smell and can sniff them out. Rats are amazing. Rats. Sandarin is elvish, gray elvish to be specific. Thank you. Also a ratu. I do have a ratu and neurorat. She's pretty cute. We need a name for our sewer rat. I know we do. Yes. Welsh actress. Spoiler alert. I met my fiance on Tinder. Cool. Yeah. See, we were talking earlier about like people not meeting on Tinder or like, dating apps being quote unquote useless or like, kind of a scam. And I got to say, I haven't had any success with them. They've all been strikeouts, but I know plenty of people where they haven't been. So tools are not inherently bad or good. It's how people use tools that are good or bad, right? So I think, only, the other thing is it's a numbers game. Only 2% of the first messages on apps lead to an actual exchange of phone numbers. 2%. So if you're if you're doing 100 messages, the number of those messages on average that's going to lead to the exchange of an actual like contact phone number is 2 out of 100. Like, your batting average. You gotta play the numbers game, You can talk to a social worker about suicidal tendencies without hesitation. They'll just register you like an institution, which adds to the depression. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I'd rather have them be overly cautious and, get the true positives and a couple false positives than the reciprocal, right? So, though that is not great, if the alternative is maybe that person harms themselves, I'd rather have the person be sad and alive. Like, I don't know, maybe not sad and alive, but I'd rather have the person still have the opportunity to have a meaningful and, enriching and, whatever life for themselves, which is only possible if they haven't, content warning. We don't usually talk about that sort of stuff directly on here just because we want to keep it a safe community for everybody. But, that's something about, committing people that I think is like a little bit underplayed. Yeah, it sucks to be involuntarily committed, 100%. However, the other alternative is sometimes far scarier. So, and they'll diagnose you with delusions or something like that that has nothing to do with you, especially if you're a whistleblower of human rights violations in a vulnerable sector. Yeah, whistleblowing. I mean, I hesitate to be like, it's such a brave act, but it is. It's such a fucking brave act to blow the whistle in a lot of situations. I only have a little bit of experience with that. I blew the whistle on a really shitty person that I was working under and was part of the university that I previously went to. And man, that's still coming back to haunt me. Like, that's why I don't use my Twitter a whole lot, because that person is still out there being a bad actor and I'm still paying the price for it. And I'm very proud of what I did, and that person can no longer exert their power and manipulation on others anymore through academic means, but they're still, grappling at this and trying to scorched earth the whole thing. So it's a risk, but, if you have the resiliency to be that person, then hats off to you, right? Scary part about being a whistleblower is seeing your allies side against you. Oh, we're talking about that? Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't talk about that very directly, and I won't say anything more than what I just said about it. But yeah, I to an extent. Yeah. Yeah, it's when the pedal hits the metal and the rubber hits the road, you find out who is truly on your side. And there's nothing that calls the fake friends and the fair weather friends and the willy-nilly people from your life than difficult shit, right? And, you know, those are the type of people that if they don't align with your values, don't need them. Don't need them. And that's not to downplay the fact that losing those people sucks. In the situation that I just described, I one of my closest friends at the time is someone that I'm no longer friends with. And I still lament that to a certain degree because we were quite close. And it went from being quite close to nothing. I haven't spoken to her since. And yeah, pseudo allies, exactly. Performative allies, perhaps. That's another thing that I think is interesting on the dating apps now. I can't remember which one it is, but lots of them, people will put, if they're like a feminist or, you know, an ally or whatever, and kind of use it as like a little badge of honor. And I'm like, honor? Why did I say that's so weird? Of honor. And on the one hand, I like that. I like that there's allies out there for, you know, various marginalized communities, whatever they are. But I'm also like wary because I feel like some people are utilizing that as like a virtue signal. And I'm like, you could also just be that and not have to get a gold star. It's lots of white people do that. They're like, I'm super non-racist, and they give you a big list of things that they do that are not racist, and it's like, okay, yeah, so that's the bare minimum, and you don't get gold stars for the bare ass minimum. Or people will be like, there's a YouTuber that I follow called JJ McCullough, and he's an openly gay YouTuber. He doesn't really talk about it a whole lot, but his most recent video is like why it's annoying to be gay. And he's like, I'll be walking around just holding hands with another man, and people will come up and be like, just so you know, I think what you're doing is really brave. Or like, just so you know, I'm really okay with it, and that's great. It's clear that you're super in love, and I just love that. And it's like, one, no one fucking asked you. And two, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Like, lots of these people are just seeking the approval and the, you know, snaps and the like, oh, you're such a good person. And it's a slippery slope to, you know, everybody likes to be acknowledged for positive things, but it's also something that I'm like, don't try and use that to date. It's one thing to be like, I will not tolerate misogyny. I will not tolerate, you know, if you're anti-feminist. But to be like, I'm this is like, enough. Yeah. Yikes. We need real allies. Is the ally industrial complex a thing? Oh, girl. At the ally industrial complex. Oh my God, it is. Or they go, yes, slay. Yeah. I mean, I'm of two minds about that because, like, I don't like the appropriation of usually what started as African-American vernacular English or from gay culture, and then it becomes mainstream. But I also kind of like that because as soon as it becomes mainstream, it's long since been moved on from in the actual culture that it is sourced from. You know what I mean? And by, like, it's a constant reinvention, and that's the thing that I love about language. But yeah. I'm just like walking down the street. Oh, people say yes, slay to you on the streets. I'd punch them. I've never met a self-righteous activist that would take the bullet for the downtrodden, but they like to act that way when they're in the spotlight. Girl, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's called virtue signaling for a reason. They're like, you know, they want a little spotlight on them. Not recently, but it certainly has. I mean, during Pride, when I walked home in my Pride outfit, oh my God, the amount of like, yes, queen. I was just like, oh, okay. And it's always straight girls. Yeah. Remember when we used to call straight girls or, you know, straight presenting girls that hung out with gay guys F-word hags? Like, what the fuck? Ah, it was awful. Anyways, part of the online dating thing Also is low accountability. And I think that relates to what we're talking about right now. Is like, you can say that you're anything. You can be like, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. You can even do that for jobs. People don't check your credentials. They're just like, I told people I have a master's degree, and they're like, okay, cool. And people can do that on their dating apps. They can be like, I'm an intersectional feminist. I'm a trans ally. I am Black Lives Matter hashtag, like all of those things. And it's like, okay, well, what, like, stop. Like there's little accountability there, right? Because no one's gonna be like, oh, show me the receipts of these times that you were doing this to prove it. And even if you do, like, then again, that circles around to be virtue signaling, In my experience around being activists, I notice that they're on standby to get offended on behalf of other people, but don't really do any advocacy work to make change. It's very true. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, bare ass minimum advocacy is better than zero advocacy. I will say that, as long as it's not causing like greater harm. But I will say that a lot of the discussions around being an ally have now kind of been twisted by certain bad actors into a place of, wanting to themselves have some semblance of a way to be marginalized. So there's lots of like othering of oneself to try and, create this sense of empathy with people that are actually, experiencing systemic discrimination, right? And it's not to say that people don't have struggles in their lives, but I think what a lot of people are really fucking missing is that, like, yeah, sure, you can have struggles as whatever you're identifying as in that situation, but if it's not like the systemic stuff that people that aren't just allies, and I don't want to say just allies like it's nothing, but that people that aren't just allies are experiencing like every fucking day and every moment of their existence, like, you just don't get it. And it's okay, because you don't need to understand something fully to just be a good fucking person, right? Sometimes it's not for you to understand. And it's certainly not the onus of the people that are oppressed or discriminated against to educate you on why you shouldn't be treating them that way or how they've been treated poorly. The onus is on the person asking the questions, right? Anyways, thanks stream and chat for helping confirm my beliefs that people are weird. All those stickers, banners, flags, bra lights, mission statements are now red flags to me. I mean, I would try to not get too far into that extreme, right? But like, performative activism is something that, it would be nice. Something that would be really cool is to use that as kind of like a screener. Like, oh, I see that you have that you're, this. Did you go to this march? Did you read that recent situation about, I don't know, like when Monroe Bergdorf got dropped by fucking Rimmel or Maybelline or something like that, like, you can kind of probe and like be like, okay, you say you're a trans ally, what do you think about the Monroe Bergdorf thing? And if they're like, oh, I don't get into all that, then you're like, then no, you're fucking not, right? I can't remember if it was Revlon or Maybelline or whatever, but oh my God, also the straight girls that play the bi card but are not truly not bi in the slightest. So I actually commented on that YouTube video I was talking about where that JJ McCullough guy is like, it's annoying to be gay, because he like did a call to action at the end, like, sound off in the comments if there's like things about being in the LGBTQ community that annoy you. And my first one was when I tell straight girls, before I even get to the end of the sentence saying that I'm bisexual, they're like, I make out with girls at parties. And I'm like, okay. I make out with girls just whenever. They're like, yeah, sometimes when I'm drunk, I just like to make out with girls. And I'm like, sounds like you might be a little bit bisexual. They're like, oh no, it's only when I'm drunk. I love my boyfriend. And I'm just like, okay, then why are we talking about this? Please stop. Anyways, that's my bi annoyance. Well, think about this. Orange shirts that read "Every Child Matters" are mass produced in third world nations. Yeah. Not all of them are. Some people sustainably and responsibly source their stuff, but frequently they are, right? And I eat pussy. Wait, is that me saying and I eat pussy? I do. It's nice. You guys, I have my notes both on my phone and not on my phone, because when I was doing research for today, I was doing it when I was at the lab. And I didn't have my little notebook. So I kind of have things scattered all over the place, and I'm maybe not as well researched as I wish that I was, because I think there's lots of really cool research out there about, you know, online app usage for dating and stuff like that. Yes, it's you, not me. I thought maybe you were saying that it was like the bi performative girls, and I'm like, that's not a performance. Anyways, I didn't get it. It's certainly not you, Platinum Star. What do you think of the Platinum Star thing being like a little bit of like a gatekeepy thing? Like you're not gay enough, you know? Like I don't mean to call you out and be like, you shouldn't say that or anything, because I'm of two minds about it. Like I like that it's like a cultural like thing, and like it's, I don't know, kind of like a humorous sort of identifier. But also like, do you think that it's a mechanism to gatekeep how gay you are from being in the community? Too gay for gay. I go both ways. I'm not stuck on it. I mean, I go both ways. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, I'm going to pull up some of the research that I looked at. Unless other people have like cool things that you want to talk about that I haven't, you know, premeditated on my end about dating apps, because, you know, I think there's lots of room for different avenues of conversation here, right? You know, different people have different experiences. It's like straight acting gays. I mean, I've also been with trans men, so like, yeah, I guess so. Then are you Platinum Star? Girl, I don't know. Wait. What? I don't, Wait. They were women? Surely not. I would say that's subjective. Okay. Yeah, well, and here's the other thing. If you hook up with someone that's non-binary, where's that? Where's that go? You know? Like the gender binary and, you know, heteronormativity and, you know, I've dated someone from the L Word. Shut the fuck up. From the actual L Word, one of the actresses? Which one? Oh my God. I'm so jealous. Lilith Hobo. What? Spill the tea. Spill the tea. I need the tea. I need the tea. Did you meet her on a dating app? No, I'm kidding. How the fuck did that happen? You've dated someone from the L Word? Peripheral character. Was it Jenny? She's smoking hot. Psycho. Yeah. No, I knew her before the show. That's cool. I have not dated any actors or actresses, I don't think. I don't think so. The days of the L Word and Queer as Folk. Oh, and Queer Eye for the straight guy before they made like new Queer Eye. Man, the early 2000s were a wild time on television. Like absolutely fucking bonkers, truly. Anyways. So I have a couple of things about predicting compatibility with Absolutely Fabulous. I don't know that I've seen it. The days of the hard R were awful. Ooh. I don't think I've ever known anybody for more than like 30 seconds that uses a hard R. Like, as soon as they do, I'm like, you are revolting. Get away from me. I mean the R word. Oh. AbFab is incredible. With Joanna Lumley. The R word as in the one that we now refer to as like some type of neurodivergent kind of thing that they used to call intellectual disability, but that's also not kosher language with regards to early TV. Yeah, that's definitely something. Yeah, that slur. Yeah. My dad used that word like last year and I had to be like, Dad, no. And he's like, well, what do I say? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you trying to say here? And he's like, that it's silly. And I'm like, then say silly. He's like, oh, okay. Anyways, someone used that word at work the other day. I had to have a chat with them. Yeah. Yeah. It's not, yeah. And some people will be like, I only use it with my friends. And I'm like, so you're only secretly a bigot? Like, great. Love that. Like, no, fuck off. People still use the R word. Oh, people still use the R word a lot. That one is like very much still around. All day, every day around me. Zoinks. It was really common in the late 90s and early 2000s language. Thankfully, it's fading. Even people going into social work. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that it's moving out of this world. I have to adjust my lighting. Hold on. Hello? Why are you like this? Is that better? No, and now it's too dark. Hello? Brighter? Warmer? Yellow. Guys, what do I do? Oh! Oh, that's very bright. It's quite cool, though. Oh, I don't mind that. Now it's too cool. Is that too bright? We'll just leave it. Okay, so there's some research out there that uses compatibility characteristics, right? Like, so the origins of dating apps was like speed dating. And speed dating came about actually because someone wanted to do compatibility research and just wanted to do it faster, basically. Dole leche, what y'all talking about? Well, we are still talking about online dating. We had a little bit of like a sidetrack moment to talk about just general bigotry, because we were talking about virtue signaling in online dating profiles and in general. So welcome back. But I was just about to segue into some studies that I had looked up regarding kind of like how online dating started and some of the underlying research that relates to it, and that I think might give people some, I don't know, it gave me a little bit of comfort as someone that's single and potentially going to return to dating apps, just to know that, I don't know, things are random and that the system isn't built against you. And like, you know, there's also on the opposite side of things, there's no magic way to just like poof, meet someone. Compatibility is not predictable. So the people that originally wanted to, like, the origins of online dating were things like speed dating. And speed dating came out because this researcher basically wanted to check compatibility. So they took a whole bunch of people's like interests, ratings on various personality scales, so extroversion, introversion, openness to experience, conscientiousness, neuroticism, these sorts of things on classic personality inventories, and a couple of other, you know, demographic information, and kind of like matched, at least they kept people in the same kind of age range. They weren't like matching 40-year-olds with 19-year-olds. I think it was an undergraduate university group, so it was probably people in their 20s. But the point is, what they did is they then put them into speed dates. So speed dating actually came for research purposes. They just basically had these people look through the profiles initially and gauge who they thought that they would be compatible with, and then go through the dates and see who they were actually compatible with by just rating would they want to see them again or would they not want to see them again. And there was almost zero correlation. And if they looked at the actual characteristics themselves and saw, does similarity or differences, does opposites attract, or does super similarities predict anything? So like if they had similar extroversion scores and all of those other personality characteristics, would that mean that they're more likely to choose each other to want to see again? AKA compatibility and attraction? No, none, zero, zip. So I guess my point is there, at least what I found kind of comforting about that, is that it really is just a little bit chaotic. And I mean, of course, that's comforting to me because, you know, it's my brand. It's not always my brand. Organized chaos, informed chaos. Join the Discord. But it seemed to me to be comforting because I, much like previous people in the chat have mentioned, have not had success on dating apps. And I'm so inclined to be like, I'm never going to meet anybody on there. Fuck that. The system's broken. I'm going to be alone forever. And that's super easy for me to like kind of spiral into. And this just reminds me that, like, I don't know, I frequently think that I literally have ran out of people that I find physically attractive that like the same music as me. Even just that, I'm like, there's no fucking way. I've met the only two in the entire city and dated both of them. And, you know, it didn't work out, obviously. One of them was the person that I spilled the tea about 2 weeks ago, which was very entertaining for me. But in any event, I frequently am like, I'm never going to meet anybody else like that. And then I met another one, like after the first time I thought that, and then I met another one. And now this kind of just reminds me that I can find someone that doesn't necessarily even share those characteristics with the music thing or other characteristics of compatibility or supposed compatibility and still be compatible with them. So, that gives me a little bit of hope, which is nice. What's your music taste? Guess. You haven't asked me this before. Someone else has asked me this before. Guess. There might be clues around my music tastes. Hardcore My Little Pony soundtracks. What kind of hardcore are we talking? Probably, yeah. I would listen to Bronycore. Well, okay, so that is Sue Catwoman from the 70s punk scene. That is Sid and Nancy, also from the 70s punk scene. Sid Vicious, of course, being the awful bassist for the Sex Pistols, and Nancy Spungen, his partner that he allegedly murdered when they were doing drugs together. So that's fun for them. Sucks. But in any event, I don't only like punk music, but that is a little hint. I like alt music, pretty much broadly speaking. I quite like metalcore. Honestly, I've been into a little bit of like Orville Peck. He's country. I've been listening to that recently. I listen to a lot of like really weepy folk stuff. Honestly, I was thinking of making a Channel Points Redemption where I would like just show you guys one of my like shame playlists or just like any one of my playlists, kind of like a playlist doxing. Because I don't actually have that much shame about it, but I think it would be pretty funny for people to roast me about my music taste because I act like I'm hardcore. But again, the burnt marshmallow thing happens and I act tough on the outside, but I'm actually a gooey baby. Goo. I also love Ariana Grande. That is a little bit intertwined with the fact that I find her very physically attractive, but she's also extremely talented and I fucking love her too. So, the Police kind of vibes. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I like the Police. I don't mind them. What's weeby folk music? Weepy, like, Yeah. I don't like mumble rap. Change my mind. I'm not sure that I like mumble rap. Maybe don't change your mind. I can harden your mind. Harden your resolve. I don't know. I don't think I like mumble rap. I do like some like aggro Gen Z like trap emo rap. I don't even know what they call it, but I don't know, like Triple X Temptation, Lil Peep, a couple of those things. Basically, if they're screaming, I'm typically pretty down. Can't be too screechy though. Don't like that. As in weeb, you mean? No, as in like weep, like cry. It would be funnier to have 5-second sound alerts on whatever chat votes as the funniest playlist selections. What? What do you mean? Sound alerts on whatever chat votes as the funniest playlist selections. You mean like I would show my list of playlists and people would like vote which one's the funniest? I don't know. I need more explanation. I have a soft spot for British rap. Yeah, I don't mind British rap. Like, there's a little bit of it. What was it? Sound alerts of the songs. So I would play a clip of one of the songs or part of one of the songs, and you guys would pick which one you think is the funniest. Sure, yeah. Yeah, from the Discord or here, moderators can do a poll. Yeah. Okay, Cocktail Twins is mumble rock. I don't know who that is. Jocelyn Flores. Okay. Yeah, I like Jocelyn Flores, and it's Gucci. So the problem Chrono Triggers with that, as I said earlier, is I have to figure out how to make sound happen for you guys on my thing because I can't do that. Even with a browser share, anyways, I can't do that, but I will figure out a way to do that. And I think that's actually a good idea or something in that realm. Because I actually organized my Spotify playlist today. I pissed away like an hour doing that instead of working. Because I found out that you could have folders. So now I have like my sob folder where it's just like sad choral music. And then, I have like other things, but I also do this thing. I started doing it a couple of years ago and I really like it, where I just start a playlist at the beginning of each like season, like canonical season on the equinoxes and the solstices, I'll start a new one. And then just like that entire time, if there's songs that are like on repeat, even if I'm not listening to that playlist, if I'm like, listening to a hardcore playlist and there's like one song that I'm like, yeah, fucking bang it out, I'll put it on that seasonal playlist. So it's eclectic and messy as fuck. But if I want to listen to and think about or reminisce about a certain time in my life, I can go back to that and like listen to the songs that were kind of like in my vibe there. And it's also kind of like a pseudo like journal, like it's like a little kind of like snapshot of what my mind was like, because let me tell you, I also name my playlist some pretty funny things, I think, or like some maybe not funny, but like topical things for how I'm feeling in my genre at the time. Anyways, I think it's a ballad, if I'm not wrong, kind of like Amorphoda from Bad Bunny. I don't know that song. On Mac, it's not too bad to local host, but like you said, you wanted to do that on your own time. I get that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll just get a grip to help me figure it out is probably what will happen. But we've slowly been improving. I know how to shout out. I know how to mod. I know how to do lots of other things. You guys have watched me grow like a little dandelion. So yeah, that's cute. And I will figure it out one day. So if you guys have any other ideas for like channel point redemptions that you think would be useful or funny or cool, let me know. I'm not saying I'll do them, but I'm definitely open to suggestions, especially ones that Layla and I can do together for Vulgar Science. So obviously there's some that like I wouldn't be able to do if like people redeemed them when I was solo, but I could also like backlog them and do it the next time we're in Vulgar Science. So my Spanish playlist is called Mother Language, and my English playlist is called Weirdo. And then I have one called Emoción, full of emo music, of course, and like wordplay with emotion in Spanish. Okay, so you're gonna like this, and I'm gonna just like reveal one of my more clever playlists. So like my winter playlist for this past winter was called Schadenfreude, because F-R-O-I-D, froid, is cold in French. And of course, where I live, French is like a super common language. So instead of it being Schadenfreude, which is like the pleasure that people get in watching this other suffering, it was Schadenfreude, like cold for winter. And I thought, tee, that's pretty funny. Anyways, that's funny. I know, I'm very witty and clever and funny and cool. I mean, I am all those things, but like, I ain't trying to be conceited. I've seen some chemistry streams have a microscopic cam where they take a funny substance and allow the chat to redeem the camera to look at Mud's microscopic life. You could do something like that having to do with neuroscience or vulgarity, like what's moving around in spit or the body. Well, so, okay, I wish that I had a microscope here. I definitely still want to bring a brain. Oh my God, that would be so cool. That'd be so cool. I mean, like all I'm going to be able to do is just show you guys the brain. But yeah, something sciencey would be neat, hey? Yeah, it would be good. I don't have the resources nor the bandwidth to acquire said resources, but I like the vibe of where we're going with that. So, mull and drop suggestions in the Discord in the little feedback section if you like think of things offline. How about a Tesla coil cam? Yeah, sure. Just mail me one. I'll set it up and yep. There's Tesla coil filters too. I wish that there was like, I don't know, there probably is ways to do lots of these things, but anyways, I just have to think of like some cool things. A friend of mine who used to work with rats. Yeah. What's this? Oh, it's Risto. Hey, welcome back. Had rat brains laminated into like little glass squares. You mean like a set in resin? That's actually a really smart idea, especially because we have molds that you put them in to freeze them in like sucrose or mounting this OCT mounting solution so that you can use the forbidden frozen deli slicer. That was interesting. She would show it to whomever she met. That's really cool. Your friend sounds cool. Your friend and I should be friends. That's something that I would be like, whoa. That would be a green flag for me if someone whipped out a rat brain. There used to be a rat skull that I like had in my previous lab that like I would show the students when they would like come like the first day. I'd be like, look at this rat skull. And they'd be like, okay, lady. Anyways, sounds like me and your friend are more similar than different. Oh, I know there are cute pet feeding games. Not sure if the rat one, but if there's a doggo one, and people use channel points to feed them. She's in France finishing her postdoc and moved to humans. I like French girls. I like France. Humans. I'm fine with that too. Tell her to hit me up. No, I'm kidding. I'm not hitting on your friend, but I am painfully single. And on that fucking note, you could tell in that speed dating thing that I was talking about where they like had the people rate who they think they'd be compatible with and then say who they wanted to see again. They couldn't tell, like there was no predictive relationship between those things in finding who would actually be compatible, but they could tell who would be popular and unpopular, like as in which of that cohort would be the ones that would be more likely to get picked. There was some common characteristics, and frequently it was extroversion. Of course, it was physical attractiveness as their perceived rating, because they gave ratings of these people again in the before section when they were rating the profiles. So that was one thing, but also just extroversion. And I think open-mindedness was another one, or openness to experience, like being like, yeah, oh, cool. Tell me about that, is kind of how I interpreted it. And definitely one of the things in the social psychology world that they say is acting interested is unparalleled in terms of making people fucking like you. We talked about this in the communications episode, but I want to reiterate how much people like talking about themselves. People love talking about themselves. Researchers love talking about their research. People like talking about their own experiences so much. And like, no shade. It's not being like, ugh, people love to talk about themselves. Of course we do. What life matters more to us than our own? We spend every moment of our entire lives from the moment we're born to the moment that we die with ourselves. So that's where we have the most interesting content, right? But I guess my point is to circle back to what we were saying kind of at the beginning is a great way to help increase your likelihood of getting a match with someone either on a dating app or maybe not get a match, to have your conversation go well and to have it progress to somewhere that you would, hopefully like to get to is in real life as well, is to be interested. Just ask questions, be curious. And the other thing is, there was research about playing it cool. So there was a researcher doing, I think it was sociological research, and they, lots of people are like, don't text back right away. And they found that actually it has nothing but a positive effect on the longevity of things or the likelihood that it's going to progress to another stage. There's no such thing as replying too fast if things are actually ever going to work out. So yeah, anyways. Pelch, hi again. Do you remember me? Nope. It says you're a first time chatter. So I do not. I apologize. Maybe you were here in a different name. Hopefully you weren't here under a different name, got banned, and then made a new account, because we don't allow that. Damn, it makes sense why I'm loved by all and hated by few. I always know everything about everyone, but almost no one knows about me because I'm always focusing on others when I talk to people. Well, I would say that that's indicative that maybe the people that you're selecting, if you don't want to be perceived, like, please don't perceive me. Yeah. I don't know. To me, that sounds a little bit like a one-sided sort of thing, right? I mean, if you truly are curious and asking the questions, but like people should realize when things get one-sided. You know what I mean? Like you see like tropes in like movies and stuff like that. Like, oh, I've been going on and on about myself. No, tell me about you. And that's usually like, I don't know, kind of a good thing as long as people are actually recognizing it, right? So I'm just cool. Oh no, I'm cool about being perceived. I just ask lots of questions to people, and that's cool. Hopefully, people ask questions about you as well, right? I'm the guy who likes to give girls money and be rejected. I mean, all right, whatever floats your dory, per. That's a whatever floats your dory. Uh, it's like a Newfoundland thing. Never mind. Just don't listen to me. So okay, circling back to the dating profile thing. Don't play it cool. People like being liked. Reply fast. Do not play it cool. Especially if people think that you might be entertaining multiple dates or like multiple people. People like exclusivity, not necessarily like actually, we're exclusive, we're dating, but people like to be not one in many choices kind of thing. So if you like an ideal reply to someone that would be like, hey, do you want to hang out tomorrow? Wouldn't be like, yeah, I don't know. Or, I might have a couple of other things to do. That's like the worst reply, but being like, I'd love to, but I can't, or, that sort of thing. Showing interest is universally a great way to do things. Yeah, if going for a relationship, sure, but in the workplace, people might not be that interested about the others. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's people that I'm like, please stop telling me about your life. I care so little. Like that just happens. But then hopefully you can exit with tact. I mean, one thing that's nice, I think, about dating apps, because it's so easy to shit on dating apps and be like, oh, it fucking sucks, all the guys are creeps, all the girls are blah, blah, whatever. Catfish this and that sort of thing. One of the nice things is if you play it right, you can kind of make it so that you don't usually get on dates with bad people. But you also have to be careful to not build people up in your head. Remember, we talked about the boom and bust theory. So this is like, you hit it off with someone and oh my God, the conversation is amazing. We've been talking nonstop for a couple of days and then you finally meet, but you've done all the talking already. So like you've kind of skipped ahead through all of the things that would ordinarily happen in like a face-to-face conversation, the awkwardness and seeing how you work through those things together and just kind of like foregone all of like, you don't have the same social hurdles. So then when you get in real life, you've gone to a place of intimacy that you're not at yet. And it causes this dissonance that makes it so typically that doesn't end up working out. So you can comb through things and screen people and make sure that it is something worth pursuing, but also be careful to not go too far to the other end of extremes and build things up in your head too much and talk to them for like 2 fucking weeks before you actually meet them, because frequently you'll be shooting yourself in the relationship in the foot. So, I'd cry if you'd tell me that. Tell you what? Wait, what? I don't know what I said. Oh, yeah, this was interesting. When they were rating attractiveness of profile pictures, Darius Stone, cool name, hello, welcome. I'm your girl, Neuralicia. Typically on Mondays during Vulgar Science, that's happening right now, I have my best friend, close friend, and colleague Layla Show here, and we talk about vulgar, spicy topics and the psychology and neuroscience behind them. But my friend Layla is in California, so it's just a little me. And then on Fridays, I usually, do this just on Friday. And we talk about neuroscience, psychology, various topics. And it's super fun. Anyways, Dr. Stone reference. Dr. Stone? Who's Dr. Stone? Dole Leche. What would you cry if I told you that? I don't get it. Does you have experience with ghosts? Because I did a Ouija board and the ghost told me they was going to ratio me and I'm scared now. I don't even know what that means. Layla is adorable. Layla is adorable. She's fantastic. I absolutely adore Layla and have since the very moment that I met her. We've basically been friends since like the moment that we met. I can't say enough good things about her. She's been there for me. Through a lot of shit. Through a lot of fucking shit. As has Get a Grip. Anyways, so yeah. Oh, because you said, yeah, there's people at work who I'm like, don't talk to me anymore. I don't give a fuck about your life or something around those lines. I would never actually say that to the person, but I'm saying it in my head. And frequently I'll just kind of space out and like act very disinterested, which is kind of a cunty thing to do, I recognize. But realistically, you know what? Life's too fucking short to entertain shit that you don't want to entertain. If you're reading a book and it's not capturing your interest, I know lots of people are like, oh, I have to finish the thing that I started. Fuck no. Life's too short to read bad books. Life's too short to watch the rest of a series of a show that you're not enjoying, or finish a movie. Like, don't be afraid to walk out of the movie. These are the fallacies of sunk costs. Same with relationships. If you think that you're in too deep in a relationship or in too deep into a conversation, like, oh, I've been talking to him for a couple of weeks, but I don't know if we're like super into it, but I may as well meet him. I've been talking to him this long. No, if you're already not feeling it, get it. No, don't waste your time. Life is too short to waste your time doing anything but something that juices your fucking orange, Is that Sid and Nancy behind you? Actually, yes, we just talked about it not too long ago. It is Sid and Nancy, and Sue Catwoman is on the other side right there. 70s punk icons. Well, I have telepathy, so I'd still cry. You know what? Have you guys seen, there's a movie that came out in like the early 2000s called Lying or something like that. It's got Ricky Gervais and the girl that plays the 13 going on 30 girl, Jennifer Garner. And people have to say what's on their mind. So like she's going on a date and they meet up and he like opens the door and is like, hi. And she's like, I thought you'd be taller. I'm disappointed. And he's like, oh, I hope your day went well. And she's like, yeah, it went really well. I masturbated right before you came over. And it's really funny what it kind of situationally, of course it's like fake, it's fictional, right? But like it's written in a way that you could totally see that being like the truth. It's quite a funny movie. I don't know if it's problematic. I haven't watched it since it like came out, so I might like need to give it a cheeky rewatch to make sure that it's not, got some problems in it, like lots of things from the 2000s. But hey, at work, everyone brings their home issues with them. It's psychologically draining, especially when you're doing most of the work and they're just standing there whinging. Yes, Lil Topo, yeah. I personally think a lot of people suffer from the fear of being mean or seeming mean or being disliked. And they're really, not overly concerned with that. You shouldn't be dicks to people, but it's okay to just like be honest and be like, hey man, like, can you step up? Or I say like, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. Like teamwork makes the dream work. Get over here. Like, come on, this shit's not gonna do itself. And I know a lot of, especially the people that work beneath me, or report to me, or I'm their mentor or whatever, find it intimidating. But usually what ends up happening is it engenders harder work, loyalty, and they get to kind of know you. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, you're not necessarily soliciting advice here, but man, if people were always whining, I usually kind of like say like a lightly like passive aggressive comment, or even just an aggressive one, like, yeah, man, well, lots to complain about, hey? Like, glad my life don't have that big of a list or something like that. You know what I mean? And kind of make them be a little bit self-aware, because frequently people don't acknowledge that they're being lightly trauma dumpy or just whiny, right? Ugh. Anyways, fat books. I like that anthropomorphism. Yeah, I've seen that in it. The invention of lying. Yes. Are you by any chance a clinical psychologist? Because that would make sense. Lilith Hope. Oh, you're asking Lilith Hope. I thought you were asking me. I'm like, No, I think I have a masturbating schedule to maintain. Yeah, if I scheduled anything in my life, I would probably get a lot more done. But I kind of like just winging it, What? Your lowers? Does you reckon variable schedule ratio for dating apps is a real thing, and like the variable ratio drops for FIFA and Fortnite loot boxes? If you're talking about a schedule of reinforcement being variable ratio and that being extremely rewarding and the most powerful way of shaping behavior, absolutely. The data is unequivocal in that area. So yeah, variable rate reinforcement is one of the, I guess, let's circle back. So reinforcement, the concept of reinforcement in neuroscience and psychology is that you can increase the likelihood of behavior of any kind, complex or simple, being repeated if you incentivize it by pairing it with a positive reward. So positive reward would be giving money or a dog a treat or any of those things to increase the likelihood of a behavior. A negative reinforcement would be taking something negative away. So say Hoon has to wear a cone unless she's really good, which would be cruel. That's not true. And then if she's good, I take off the cone. So that's a negative thing, taking away something, but it's still going to increase the likelihood that the behavior is going to happen again. So negative doesn't mean negative like bad. It means negative as in taking something away versus adding. So positive reinforcement, adding something, negative reinforcement, taking it away. So those things are rewarding. They increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. Punishment is the opposite. Punishment is going to be something that decreases the likelihood of a behavior happening again. So the classic punishments that you hear about are being grounded. So taking away privileges, that would be negative punishment, right? Taking something away to decrease the likelihood of a behavior that you're punishing. There's also positive punishment. So adding something that's going to decrease the likelihood of behavior happening again. A really bad example of this is like spanking a child or, hitting a dog on their nose or any of these sorts of physical things, or Hoon just exasperatedly sighed so heavily. Or in like experiments, we can model that by using a shock grid and giving animals a slight shock on their paws. There's a whole bunch of different ways. But what's been shown is positive punishment is not a very good way of changing behavior or shaping behavior, which is why abusing your pets and children is not an effective deterrent of behavior, and why we shouldn't do it, amongst that it's also cruel. It's cruel and it's ineffective. So positive punishment basically is the least effective and borderline doesn't work. Punishment of the other type, again, it's more effective than positive punishment, but it's still not very effective at shaping behavior. The rewards that are most good at shaping behavior are positive rewards. So giving something to incentivize the likelihood of a behavior happening again. And you can see that this would make evolutionary sense because incentivizing, something with a basic need like food, shelter, that sort of thing, would increase the likelihood that you approach something and increase the likelihood of the behavior, right? And there's different types of reinforcement schedules. And I believe that this is what, I can't remember who asked it, Darius Stone. This is, I think, is what Darius Stone is referring to. I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going on a very long diatribe that has nothing to do with the question, but hey, you're getting some science. So in reinforcement schedules, there is ratios and schedules that you can follow. There's kind of different nomenclature for it, but basically you can alter the timing. So the reward happens at a specific time interval or, whatever. So who knows that she gets fed at 5 o'clock? So at 4:45, she's like, hello, I'm hungry. And I'm like, it's not quite time yet, but she's got a circadian clock and it's been positively reinforced because I'm going to feed my dog at an appropriate time. So it's incredibly effective at shaping that behavior. And it's really hard to extinguish as well. So even if you stopped doing it and you changed the time, this is why dogs still want to be fed at the previous time when you have daylight savings time, is because it's incredibly resistant to extinguishing. But what's even more powerful at shaping behavior is if the reward is unpredictable. And this is why gambling and slot machines are so addicting as a behavioral addiction. They are designed to be like that because psychologically it is very easy to prey upon the fallacy of sunk costs and a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement or a variable interval schedule of reinforcement. Interval being time, ratio being the number of times you need to do a behavior in order to earn a reward. So maybe I make Hoon sit in her chair sometimes and stay there and be a good girl for 2 minutes before I let her come get peanut butter or something like that. Maybe sometimes it's 5 minutes. Either way, that variety actually makes it more likely that she's going to be good and do the behavior that I'm trying to maintain because it's unpredictable. Now, a variable ratio would be the number of times that an animal or a human or whatever has to perform a behavior in order to earn the reward. So this is like a slot machine. How many times do you have to pull the thing before you get a reward? And because that's completely unpredictable and randomized, people will keep doing it. And because of the gambler's fallacy, which doesn't just apply to gambling, people think that the likelihood of an event is dependent on the previous event, which it's not, right? So people are like, all right, she's going to pay out. She hasn't paid out in a long time. Like, I've spun 20 times. She's bound to pay out any time. Or if you flip 15 heads in a row, you're like, oh, the next one's got to be tails. No, it's still 50-50. The probability doesn't change. That's the gambler's fallacy. And that applies in other situations too, right? So you're going to keep repeating the behavior on the off chance that it is one of the times that you get the reward. And the only way to tell, like we were saying, is by doing the thing. So dating apps definitely engender that. And to some degree, I think also people get exasperated and then they don't want to try at all. And then that's a little bit of like the Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Never stop not stopping. Anyways, yeah, so that's that. And so I guess the short answer is yes, I think that the variable schedule of reinforcement is effective. So I hope that's what you were talking about. I'm behind again. Sorry weather we're having. No, I'm a gardener. Gardening is supposed to be therapeutic, but not where I work. It's like your man Skinner messing about with pigeons, except for it's for dating apps. 100%. Yeah. So Skinner boxes are what they call operant boxes, classically. How do you reckon things like Tinder use reinforcement to keep people on them instead of doing what they claim to do, which is removing people from them? How do I think they do that? A whole bunch of ways. The algorithm. The almighty algorithm. For some kinky peeps, a punishment can become a positive reinforcement. That's true. Typically, stimuli don't change their orientation, and that is what we call Pavlovian to instrumental transfer. So Pavlovian, this is wild that we're getting into this, and I didn't even think it, but I'm so glad that you guys are asking these questions and making these comments because you're so right. And there's science to it, and we study it, and it's a robust and repeatable phenomena. And I didn't even think how it's here, but it is here. So Pavlovian to instrumental transfer in the case of taking a stimuli that would ordinarily be punishing or negative, the valence of it would be negative. I'm using negative in the term like bad, not negative like take away in this sense. So say a punishing stimuli can become a rewarding stimuli if it's paired frequently with something that's, joyful or enjoyable or rewarding in and of itself, right? And that can overwhelm that. So that Pavlovian pairing, just like the Pavlov with the bell and the dog and the salivating, most of us know about that example. That Pavlovian pairing can transfer Pavlovian to instrumental being operant. Skinner box is what we were just talking about, reward behavior. Can transfer to it and make it so that people will indeed seek out something that's been Pavlovianly paired with a different stimulus. So you can very much shape behavior. Everything we do, this is a very staunch behaviorist perspective, and I'm kind of revealing my allegiances in the science community, but I truly am a behaviorist through and through. And I think that more or less every single thing that we do can be boiled down to reinforcement or stimulus pairing. So it takes the magic out of things a little bit. And I know that, people are like, but my soulmate. And I'm like, well, a little bit, but more likely just are conditioned to like that thing, and it's been paired with other things in your life, and that doesn't make it any less romantic because you still choose that person, but the reason that you're choosing them isn't like fucking Cinderella's dress or slipper or whatever. It's just because you once got a cookie from them, or like a metaphorical cookie, Most addictive one, though, is intermittent reinforcement. Yeah, so intermittent reinforcement actually is something that's really important to consider when you're talking about addiction specifically, right? Because previously in preclinical models of addiction, what they would do is they would see how much a mouse or a rat would respond for a drug or for a reinforcer of any kind by giving them one every time they got it, right? But that's not how it works. When addicted individuals suffering from addiction go out and are looking for their substance of choice or looking to do their activity of choice, frequently they don't just have a guaranteed stockpile of it or a source that's always available immediately upon when they want it. If anyone's ever dealt with a drug dealer, they know that that's far from the truth. Sometimes the store is going to be closed. The casino is going to be far away. You won't have enough money to do the thing. So like, intermittent access is the only actual model of true access that's, relatable. But yes, exactly. Intermittent reason, yeah. How about punishment as a social thing for them people that want justice/vengeance instead of an individual thing? Punishment as a social thing. I need you to clarify a little bit more what you mean there. I'm not sure I understand the question. Oh, there, she said it. Why is something being unpredictable a better motivator of behavior than that? Or Kuhn, like the structure of scientific revolutions, Kuhn. Because there's no habituation to the reward. Well, okay, so there is a little bit of, there's satiety or saturation and habituation to rewards, but there's also sensitization, right? And there's a little bit, there's no real way to know for sure why. It's more reinforcing. It does cause different activation of dopaminergic circuits in your brain, but that's not like an ethological reason. That's not a reason that like has meaning in everyday life. That's just an anatomical explanation, right? So realistically, there's like a couple of theories as to why variable reinforcements or intermittent reinforcements would be more effective than reliable ones. But I think the best explanation from my perspective would be that it's evolutionarily adaptive to, if you have a reliable source for something, to vary your behaviors, right? So stockpiling resources and that sort of thing. If you have a guaranteed resource in one place and there's something that's an unpredictable resource in another place, you're more likely to go and check that thing that's unpredictable because it is unpredictable. I don't know. That's kind of circular. I'll find a better way to say it. I wrote about this in my master's thesis because it got like in my discussion section, got into why the intermittent reinforcement is so much more powerful. But it's probably a little bit of, I don't know. If anyone has any like clever ideas about that aren't like really philosophical, feel free to drop them. You guys know how I feel about getting into like really like unprovable philosophical debates. As in I don't enjoy them, but yeah. As if you were going to be given a vacation every weekend, you would stop getting excited for going on vacations. That's true. Yeah. So predictability is definitely a thing, but there's still sensitization sometimes. You do get vacation most weekends, though, and I like weekends. I mean, as in traveling somewhere, lol. And never mind, Alicia will tell you, yeah, like getting spanked. Nobody likes getting spanked, but if it's within a sexual situation, it might make it enjoyable. So that's Pavlovian to instrumental transfer. However, our lab currently is on the precipice of investigating whether or not there might be an anatomical reason why some forms of pain are desirable. And that it might not all, because of the constant refrain that you hear from people like, oh, well, if all pain is aversive, then why are there people that like to be spanked? Why is BDSM a thing? And that's like the ultimate, caveat to all of those arguments when we say pain is a negative stimulus or an aversive stimulus, right? But there's evidence to suggest that there might actually be two subsets of a specific sensory fiber in your body, and that some of them might respond differently and land in different places of your brain than would ordinarily happen. So it actually might be that the pain itself, the sensation, in absence of pairing with a positive rewarding stimulus, would actually still be desirable, craved, and or even maybe pleasurable, right? And it could be that heterogeneity, that the individual differences is what that big jargony word is, that the differences from individual to individual in the likelihood of, having that type of receptor, say 30 to 70% ratio versus 10% to, 90 or 50-50, that individual difference might be one of the underlying factors of why some people find certain types of pain stimuli to be stimulating, to be like reinforcing in the absence of Pavlovian pairing. But has yet to be researched. It's a reasonable hypothesis based on a whole bunch of different data that I'm not incredibly familiar with, but there are certain receptor subtypes beyond what we actually know about regarding touch that have just recently been discovered. And actually, we talked about Artem Patapoutian, who is one of the co-winners of the Nobel Prize in fucking science or I don't know, one of the sciencey ones, in 2021, found a specific receptor subtype called Piazzo 1 and Piazzo 2, that we're talking about, like pleasurable touch versus non-pleasurable touch. And so yeah, that suggests that there's these subtypes. So interesting. Christian should be about changing behaviors, but it's negative reinforcement on the main, so it's not optimized for the individual, but for the tribe society. Prison is fucked and is basically a business. Just a business model, lightly modern day slavery. Not great. I'm anti-incarceration, but that's just me. Smoking cigarettes is another. The stink of burning tobacco, pain of inhaling burning ash, reinforcement. After a while, the smell of someone smoking will trigger seeking out more addicted smoker who no longer smokes here. Chris T.S. This is why I think I should do a whole series on addiction, because you hit on something really, really salient and interesting there. And I use the word salient as kind of like a little like wink. If there's any neuroscientists that happen to be watching this that know about different theories of addiction, because there's a theory of addiction called the incentive salience theory of addiction. And it was pioneered by researchers named Kent Berridge and Terry Robinson at University of Michigan. Yeah, University of Michigan, the blue and gold one. They basically found that you don't have to like the drug, and frequently you don't even like the drug, and there's even aversive qualities to an addictive substance, whether it's a drug or whatever. But what is incentivizing about it is the pairing of the cues, aversive, neutral, or positive cues, with the activation of your dopamine system. So those cues themselves actually become capable of instigating your dopaminergic responses and becomes kind of like a motivational magnet. So this is the equivalent of when you're a smoker, if you see a lighter laying around, that's going to trigger your craving by activating your dopamine system as sort of a primer, because usually when you see that stimulus, it's paired with the drug of choice, and thus a big spike in dopamine when you actually ingest the drug, and ingesting that drug does sensitize the system. And there's a whole bunch of other things that can sensitize your system, like stress early on in life. That was something that I did my entire master's research on. Anyways, I could go on for a long time about this, but the point is those cues, contextual or like specific little things, are really, really powerful motivators in how they shape behavior. So if you're trying to give something up, taking them out of your zone, if you're trying to quit eating a specific food and you find that difficult, put it out of sight, put it out of access, ideally. If you want to quit smoking, hide your smoking paraphernalia. If you're wanting to quit harder drugs, hide those things. Don't hang out with people that you typically engage in that activity with. Don't go to places that you typically would engage in that activity with, and avoid as many of these cues as you possibly can. I know some of those are like not realistically possible, but that's one of the main reasons why typical rehabilitation for addiction just isn't effective, really. Because they don't include this type of management as explicitly as they should, and they focus more on detoxing and abstinence and, that sort of stuff. So in any event, I could go on forever and ever. Addiction is my passion. I absolutely love the research of addiction, and obviously it's something that I've focused on extensively. You can actually access my master's thesis if you so care to do so. I think it's open access on one of the sites. Anyways, if our preferences are mostly conditioned behavior, would it be possible to recondition ourselves to change preferences and desires? Absolutely, 100%. That is what we're doing basically all the time. Every single moment of our entire lives is conditioning. Every single time that one of you guys asks a question, I get all excited. I'm getting fuck tons of dopamine in my brain, and it's making it more likely that I'm going to start streaming. Did I do this? Was I even as likely to stream on Friday like last Friday? Even though it's scheduled, I'm even more likely to do it now. And if you think about 6 months ago, this was not part of my behavior. But now it's like an incentivized, big, large part of something that I prefer to do, and is now an ingrained thing that I, have ingratiated in my entire life. So yeah, you can. Your brain is plastic throughout the life. I'm going to remind us all that there's this whole kind of like old wives' tale thing that like your brain stops developing when you're 16 or 25 or pick whatever fake number it is, because it's not true, because your brain develops through your entire life. Your brain is plastic and remarkable at changing things and fast at changing things. The other thing is, you know how they're like, it takes a month or 21 days to build a habit? No. You can build a habit as fast as basically you can change your mind, and as fast as you can kind of master that. Sometimes it takes that long because there's parts of your brain that are kind of overwhelming the other parts. But you can, habits can stick after a short amount of time, is the point. Anyways, Alicia, however, our lab is currently spanking rats to see if they get excited or not. I mean, I wish I worked with rats. I work with mice. I wish that I was working on this project. It's not my project. I wish that we actually could get ethical clearance to do this project, because I think it's still in the early stages, but the idea is there. It's very interesting. Add quote. However, a lab is. What is that? What is this little quote thing? I like that. Anyways, for those of you that are relatively new, I think like maybe the first or second Vulgar Science that Layla and I did, we talked about the little study from Jim Faust's lab at Concordia when they did the rats in leather jackets thing, and it turned out to be a Pavlovian like cue pairing kind of thing, but they put little leather jacket harnesses on rats. So like there's people that do this sort of ridiculous sounding research, but you can see how these sorts of things that sound kind of silly, and it's like, who paid for that? Well, this is what our government funding is going towards, putting rats in jackets. It's actually really applicable in multiple situations, but it is a fun way to get it to be talked about, and to make it relatable. Because a lot of this, when I'm like, Pavlovian to instrumental transfer, it's so much more salient when we lock it onto one of these examples that you guys gave, which is why I fucking love this. Thank you guys so much for participating and for engaging in the chat and stuff like that. This is just magnificent. Might be something like homunculus, which explains why foot fetishes are so common, having the genitalia-related motor area next to the... Yeah, so we talked about that in the fetishes episode, actually. That is one of the theories. It's one of the theories. And honestly, there's no real way to tell if that's true or not. And it kind of is one of those like circular things, like, there's no way to prove it. And... I mean, for me, it's kind of neither here nor there, but yeah, the foot motor area, there's no evidence to suggest that like the level of innervation in that area is, different kind of thing, or circuitry wise different. So, but I also don't know that there's a whole lot of research being dumped into why foot fetishes exist. Maybe ask Quentin Tarantino if he'd fund it. Prison and the justice system is something that's basically been ubiquitous in that for 2,000 years or whatever, though. Yep. Mechanism of the oppressor, baby. Been around since the dawn of time. Yes, you can. Yes, coffee, tea, certain foods, alcohol equals plus, need for a smoke. Yeah, all of those cues are paired. And they compound with each other too. Like, it's not like just one cue. I get one cue and one allotment of dopamine, therefore I want to put on my lip balm. It's like, no, okay, this and my chapped lips and the sensation and the smell and the fact that I'm in the room that I usually do my makeup in, the fact that I frequently need lip balm when I'm on chat because I'm talking endlessly, and the fact that I'm dehydrated. Let's take a little hydration break, actually. Drink some water, check your posture, do a little of this. Ooh. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so creaky. My back sounds like like a xylophone. What was I talking about? You subscribe more to Darwin and Wallace or to Wilson to explain and predict behavior. Honestly, I don't know that much about evolutionary theory to say like what school of thought I fall into. I certainly cite more Darwinian sort of stuff, but honestly, I think in terms of behavioral selection, Darwin definitely had something that's got tons of data towards it. But, in terms of like Mendelian inheritance, being selected for and that sort of thing, I don't know that I have a big opinion on that. I don't know why I keep making that noise. It's just fun. I like to focus on retoxing TBH. I haven't smoked in over 14 years. Even to this day, smelling a smoker or sitting with smokers is very pleasurable. My most memorable and enjoyable dreams are smoking. That's funny. It's interesting because lots of people don't find smoking actually pleasurable. They find the stuff around it pleasurable, but they don't find the actual cigarette smoke pleasurable. And they're like, oh yeah, it's the nicotine. It's like, oh, well, you can get nicotine in other ways. Lots of people refer to the hit in the back of the throat. And I should talk about this in its whole episode. We got way off online dating, but in any event. You guys, I was asking on a previous stream what you would all be interested in. It definitely sounds like I should do a series on addiction and talk about the various different substances. So I think I might, if anybody has any strong preferences for what drug or, class of drugs I think I'll do, that you want me to talk about first, drop them in the Discord. So that I can like kind of guide that, because like I'm thinking opioids, stimulants, nicotine, alcohol, psychedelics, dissociatives, benzodiazepines, like anxiolytics. I guess benzodiazepines would be into. But anyways, I'm thinking that I'll do that topic kind of not every Friday until I'm out of topics, because that will be like a really narrow funnel, and I'd like to keep some variety to this, but I'm thinking maybe once a month. So, with that many drug classes, it'll take me a year to get through all of them. So I would like to, because it would take so long to do that, to prioritize the ones that you guys are the most interested in. So the best way to do that, I guess, would be Discord. You can put them here, but I'll just write it down in my book, like when I wrote name, ? And I have no idea what that means. So I'm not good at taking my own notes, so do it for me. Or I'll just pick my own shit and completely disregard what you say. Or maybe I can make it a channel point redemption, like pick the drug. That'd be funny. Conditioned abstinence is shit. I've worked with peeps who would go through it after months of being clean, and it sucked for them. Relapse is a part of recovery. Relapse is a part of recovery. I'm going to say it again. Relapse is a part of recovery. Just remember that. Like, it sucks to break a streak. It sucks to, be months of being clean and then not, to go on a binge, to go on a bender. And it's so easy to get in the shame cycle. It is so easy to get there. But let me tell you, the evidence suggests that shame does nothing more than make it likelier that you're going to do it again. So, harm reduction. Relapses are going to happen. Plan for them. Plan to have a relapse. The more that you acknowledge that it is very, very almost inevitable to relapse when you're attempting recovery, 92% of attempts to quit any of the substances. This was a huge meta-analysis. It was done in like 2004, but it was enormous, and I don't think there's any reason to believe this would have changed. Over 90% of attempts to quit will have a relapse. Like the overwhelming majority. And this applies to everything, not just the canonically, like, you know, illicit drugs, everything. Anyways, Muse clues. No. Oh no. Oh no. I knew it's, oh no. Muse clues. G'day, mate. I guess I'm talking an Australian accent an Australian accent for the next 2 minutes. Someone should put on a timer. Don't let me go past 2 minutes. How are you going? I'm 100% down for addiction topics. This isn't a great Australian accent. I'd love to have a stream about addiction dating apps. Well, this one's kind of meant to be the one that's about dating apps, but we got a little off topic. But we could come back to it. It's really hard. That's a little British. It's really hard to keep up this accent for a long time, except for when I'm drunk. I find I'm really good at it. I was told my pupils dilate when I smell cigar smoke. One of the reasons I'm super careful about addictive substances, etc. They follow the AAA scheme in the 12 steps thingy. I don't know what the AAA scheme is. So they thought they were never going to recover. It's got to be 2 minutes, you guys. This is brutal. Always be addicts going through recovery. I've lost it. Doing it for an extended period of time and actually having to focus on two things, I'm splitting my cognitive effort and I can't do one as well as the other. Do you know what I mean? Still missing 1 minute. Come on, you guys. Maybe I need to just make it an accent. Because I could do a Russian accent for you for another minute if you want. Or maybe just generic Eastern European accent. It could be Romanian. Who knows? Crikey, mate, you're doing bonza. See, it's a lot easier when you're reading stuff and when you're saying crazy things. It's usually so much better, you guys. I felt like I was put on the spot. I wasn't ready. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Hello. Do you like kangaroos? What have I done to myself? Channel your inner Darcy. Actually, yeah, that was a good one. I guess I just have to pretend that I actually am from Australia, mate, and then I get to just do it. But you see, when I'm playing Darcy is one of my D&D characters. When I'm playing Darcy, you see, I'm with people that I know and love and trust. So it's a lot easier to just sound like a fucking fool. Not that Australian people sound foolish, but I sound foolish when I try to sound Australian. So that's got to be 2 minutes. Fucking g'day, mate. Use clues. Please don't do it again today. I don't know if I have it in me. It got better. It got better at the end. I'll get better at it. Of course, I'm messing up with you about the addiction to dating apps thing. Still missing 1 minute. Crikey, mate, you're doing bonza. I will advocate for an extra minute as you are not talking Aussie. Channel your inner Darcy. You know the guy that makes the High School Musical Aussie version? I do not know. 2 minutes without saying cunt. Could use some work. Oh, yeah, that's true. They do say cunt a lot. Yeah. LOL, you did fine. Okay, it deleted it. Yeah, you can't drop, send it to a mod, send it to Dougie-licious, please. You guys, it's been almost 3 fucking hours. It's almost 10 o'clock. If I say no, I do say no. Oh no. Hello. I like hello. That's, me and my old roommate, Brianna. used to talk to each other in Australian accents all the time. And I actually did my Australian accent for my Australian friend who just got married and is a fellow neuroscience researcher. He's fantastic. Anyways, I showed him my Australian accent when we were at the Society for Neuroscience conference in San Diego, and he was like, "It's actually not that bad. You sound just like one of my friends." And I'm like, "Yeah," but I was also like lit to shit, so Risto, lol. Thank you for finding me funny. um, yeah, I guess it's time to start contemplating. Guys, let me see if there's any more research that I wanted to make sure we talked about. Certain people gravitate for and benefit from online dating. And I found this wildly interesting that it's certain groups of people. So they did like a principal component analysis, I think, or like a MANOVA type thing. Doesn't really matter what statistical method they used, but they did a legitimate statistical method. And they found that there was 3 categories of psychosocial vulnerabilities that that typically interfere with the initiation of romantic relationships that they found were somewhat ameliorated by using dating apps, which were 1, internalizing symptoms like anxiety and depression, 2, rejection sensitivity, and 3, attachment insecurity. So the research shows positive associations between anxiety and depression, rejection sensitivity, and anxious attachment and online dating use success. So that's fun. Anyways, Nilf, welcome. You're here right near the end. We're talking about online dating, specifically apps, dating apps. We're talking about how addicting they are. We're talking about how they're useful for some people and not for others. We're talking about virtue signaling. We've covered it all. Hermagerd. Oh my God. If we ever meet at a Congress, can I get an autograph? Absolutely. Do you go to SFN? If you go to SFN, I'll see you in DC, baby. Brr. Yeah. I don't know what you would do with my autograph. No one wants that. I mean, maybe you want it. What is this, Doug? What was this? What's this clip? What's this? I can't put the sound up, so I can just like watch it myself. Sounds more like PCA conclusion than a MANOVA. Yeah, it does, but I don't remember. Anyways, hello everyone. Oh, association sounds like a MANOVA. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. It's one of the two. So that explains why most of my friendships these days came from the internet. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how much it actually could generalize outside of dating apps and online dating to just like online interactions, but I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be some likelihood that those types of symptoms would be present in situations like this and, you know, making friends online and that sort of thing. Because certainly if you have anxious attachment, style, if you are just generally anxious and if you're sensitive to rejection, then building in a whole bunch of distance is something that, you know, would make it so that any sort of rejection would feel less harsh because your whole world isn't being upended. Like, think of the opposite end of the spectrum being like living with someone or having an online friend that lives, I don't know, in Brazil, right? So, you know, losing one of those things is going to be way more earth-shattering than the other. So you can kind of build in this protective buffer for better or for worse by curating your relationships to be more of the online variety. And that's not to disparage them or say that they're less important or intense or meaningful or whatever, but that it makes sense that people with those tendencies would be attracted to this type of interaction, right? Because you have a lot more power, you have a lot more control. So especially in an anxious attachment where people have fears of abandonment and need a lot of reassurance, things like likes, subs, follows, all of those sorts of things, you get constant reaffirmation, especially if you curate that. And, you know, lots of people, you know, post like cute selfies, myself included, and fucking love the positive reactions that you get. And there's no shame in that to me. Like, I know a lot of people are like, she's just posting that so people will think that because she thinks she looks hot or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. I bought a new workout outfit and I thought my abs looked fucking killer. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to post that because I want people to fucking look at me and be like, cool. That's a sick outfit. You look fit. Good fucking job. People like hearing good job. People like being affirmed. And you can definitely get that, you know, in a much more explicit fashion online. Can you tell that I'm anxiously attached? Actually, I'm moving towards being securely attached, but anyways, not this year probably, but I will next year. My bosses are going for sure. Cool. I don't know if I'll be going the year after because I'll be finishing my PhD like in under a year. So I don't know if wearing in a postdoc will mean that they'll be sending me to that one or to different conferences. I really like the idea of going to them. And the one after this one is going to be in Chicago, which I absolutely love. Chicago is my favorite. Exactly that. Weird. Some online friendships have been more robust than a few of my real life friendships over the years. Why would someone think that's a bad thing? Be happy they feel that way about themselves and want to share it. It's a projection thing is my likely thing. A projection thing and a jealousy thing. You know, a lot of anger and negative stuff from within ourselves and from others are usually about themselves. You know what I mean? Like when I see things and I'm like, ugh, she keeps posting about this, like, ugh, and like my gut reaction is to be like that. I'm like, oh, because I want that. Do you know what I mean? It's usually about something that someone's doing something that you kind of have an attraction to or like a desire about that. Yeah, as long as you keep in academia, the chances of you going to the same congress increases. I like to go to the European ones because I like to bebop around Europe. So I really like going to EBPS, which is European Behavioral Pharmacological Society. Last year it was in Rome. That was amazing. There was one in Crete. There was one in Portugal. It's all just been really great. Anyways, it's getting about time to rate out. So does anybody have suggestions? Let's see who's online. And yeah, I haven't picked my topic for Friday. So if anyone, you know, is feeling zesty and wants to suggest something, you can tell me in Discord and I might do it, or I might just do whatever the fuck I want. Cause that's what you get. Whomst is online? Stop this. It's very meta watching like the slightly lagged version of yourself. Like when I just go to Twitch, it defaults and goes to my thing. Science is live. I always read Science. Mahoodles is live. Skip is live. Oh my gosh, the whole world. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if I rated Julian Solomita and if he even just acknowledged my existence? I know he wouldn't because he's got like a zillion fucking viewers. But yeah. Oh, paleontologizing. I've always wanted to raid them. How would you guys feel about checking out the paleontology science guy stream? Like, I love science, but, you know, for a bit of a variety. Oh, you guys are both voting science, though. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Doug, what do you think? Danny is great too. Danny's great too. I've never really like met Danny. I've like he was one of like the first like science people that I've, you know, watched. But anyways, let's. Variety is always good. Paleo is badass. All right, we're doing it. I have to figure out how to put paleontologizing into words. /raid. Huh, okay. Paleontologizing. Thank you guys all for being here and for being so chatty today. Like, I know it's chat, but guys, I don't know. Paleontology. Zing. Okay, I think I got it. Stick around for the raid and check out Danny if you haven't. They're very cool. They were one of the very first science streams that I saw, other than science, and do really cool, super interesting shit, and like is a boss in their area. So yeah, stick around. It's been awesome. I really missed Layla, but this was fun doing a solo vulgar science. And yeah, see you guys on Friday. Can I do it?